Now we are live. Hello everyone. Can you guys see us and hear us? Finally. Yeah, Nikhil's not right. Do not confirm. It was not just before, but yeah, it was like few days ago.
Yeah,
And I haven't tested since then. So yeah. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. Hi Minte. Hi Ditya. Hi Titanium. Hi Surendranath.
tight.
Titan Titan and then EM. Okay. Hi Govind.
Yeah, that's the Sadhya.
Okay, hi. So yeah, you asked your team to watch, so we have more viewers, right?
No, I think they're just slacking off at work and that's why they're watching it. Okay.
Cool. So yeah, can someone confirm the audio video before we proceed further? So there will be a, some delay. Yeah. So yeah, works. Cool, cool. Good to be back after I think 2.5 months. I'm coming back to streaming. That's the longest break I have taken since Build with Usain started actually. So yeah, welcome back, Nikhil. You are after you are here after 1.5 years. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Last I think was in April or May.
yeah, May 2023. Yeah,
Three. Yeah.
yeah, and that was like you. That was kind of a tutorial where you like build something using React
Yeah.
SDK and then yeah, cool. So nice. Let me just check how many people are there. 18 people are watching. Nice. So we can start. So by the way, new setup. First live stream with that. So hopefully that's working. Maybe the audio and video will be out of sync a second, but I haven't figured out a way for that. That's fine. Yeah. So let's get to the content, I guess. Before that, a few announcements. So we are having like the Dubai bootcamp is very popular, right? So we are having another bootcamp, in-person bootcamp in Riyadh, less than a month away. And I have done something crazy a few days ago. I have priced it at 15,000 rupees. I brought down the price to,
Rupees.
yeah, so it's now even cheaper than our online training.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's
Nikhil.
about $200, right?
Yeah, $180.
$180. Yeah,
So yeah,
that's pretty good.
yeah, so because like we want more people to join in, have the in-person experience, and I
Oh,
think
and
it's
this
gonna
is
be
for
cheaper.
in person.
Yeah, this is for in person. So
Yeah,
your
so if
batch,
anyone's in Riyadh, yeah, if
yeah,
anyone's in Riyadh,
you're lucky.
uh, yeah, you're lucky. And then most
Yeah.
probably I'll be taking your evaluation.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, let's switch to your screen, I guess. And then what's the agenda by the way? What do you want to show and
Uh,
reveal?
okay, so agenda is we show a little bit of what Raven does, right? And then we build a few bots. Some of these bots are let's just say they are standard bots, right? They don't do a lot. And then we get to the fun part, which is the AI bots, right? Which also, hopefully do something, right? But you can't really trust AI. So yeah, I mean it's just all the features that we have. I mean this is technically version 2 of Raven,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but we haven't had the time to write the release notes. We have to make a lot of graphics, so it's a lot of work. Yeah.
So yeah, so I think this stream could have been called live. What do you say? Launch of V2.
Yeah,
Cool.
just without any release notes.
Yeah, that's the important part of the release. Cool. So should I share to your switch to your
Yeah,
screen
yeah.
share? Okay. Okay, split screen share. Nice. So your screen is now visible
Yeah. Can someone confirm that it is visible?
for this one.
Should be, right?
Pretty, yeah, should be. Cool.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Raven's a chat app, right? And it's specifically designed to be run with other Frappe apps, right? So it's sort of, I mean, there are like great chat apps out there, right? Both proprietary and open source. The thing that sets this one apart is the fact that you can, have integrations like much deeper integrations with ERP Next or Frappe HR or any other Frappe app, right? Even your own custom app. And the fact that you can actually build those integrations, most of those integrations, without actually writing any code, right? Unlike other platforms where you need to be a developer to like write integrations and stuff, right?
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, this is our prod chat app, prod Raven chat. So yeah, it's built using React. It's got channels, so you can pin and unpin channels, right? So you can just pin or unpin, and then channels, you can create more. So like a channel is essentially like a group, right? But a group can have access controls to it. So I mean, the default group that we know about is like a private group, right, where only the members can interact. There's something also called as a public group, where people can view the messages,
Mhm.
but they cannot, let's say, send messages, right? And then there are like open channels which are usually used for like announcements and stuff, but open channels are like open to everyone, right? So uh, yeah, so you create a channel and then you have all of this. We have a lot of channels. I didn't know. I didn't know there were so many channels. So if you have a lot of channels, you can just collapse them, and then you also have DMs, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, and then you can send messages to people. All of that is right there, and yes, it supports dark mode. So that's there, and
Confirmed.
then yeah, so there's also things like you can reply. I don't know if I'll find some replies over here. Maybe not, but you can pretty much reply. This looks cool, right? And then you have emoji shortcuts as well. So yeah, you can like use these. So let's say, I don't know, smiley, right? And if you wanted to tag people, I mean, the basics, right? Basic of any chat app, all of that's there, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, and um, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it as far as the chat is concerned.
Mhm.
Uh, and then, there are other features which actually make it work, like with the Frappe ecosystem, right? So should we get into that, or do you want me to cover something else over here?
No, no, it's pretty solid now. So can you talk about like quickly how like things have shaped in the past year? Because as far as
Yeah,
I know, after the hackathon, you did some development, but somewhere it lacked, right? Somewhere the
yeah, yeah,
experience
yeah.
was
Oh,
not
it
on
lacked.
par. Hmm.
I mean, everywhere, right? So,
Hmm.
uh, so after the hackathon, we were pretty busy just adding new features to it, right? Like we were just dumping features into it. It was still a well-designed app and all of that, but in like a chat app needs to be it needs to be really, really performant. And one of the fundamental problems of making a chat app is that there are just so many alternatives out there that have shaped, like that have been created over the last 15 years or so, right? Like WhatsApp, Telegram. Like, I mean, the engineering over there is like insane. So, yeah, so over the past 1 year, we've been working on completely redesigning it. So Jambi redesigned the entire thing. Earlier, it was built using Chakra. Now it's built using Radix and Tailwind. And after that, I worked a lot on the performance side of things. We have, I don't think that any other app, maybe Drive, right? Maybe Drive uses WebSockets a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
I think our app uses like the most amount of like WebSockets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And surprisingly, I take evaluations for Frappe School, right? And there's a question for real-time events, explain real-time events in Frappe framework. And
Mm-hmm.
most people aren't able to answer because you really don't have a lot of use for it within the framework itself. Like if you were using on the desk interface,
Mm-hmm.
right? But for a real-time chat app, it's like critical. So yeah, now everything runs on Socket, um, and there's pagination and stuff. There's also unit tests for at least the main chat stream. We have added new features, yes, but I think our entire philosophy of adding new features has now become okay, performance first, then features, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, the plan for the next 2 3 months is, I mean, first is the mobile app, which we are building using React Native,
So as
right?
you were
And
speaking that line, right?
yeah,
Something popped
yeah,
up in chat. Is there a
yeah.
mobile app?
Oh, okay,
Exact
yeah,
same
yeah.
time.
Yeah, so we are working on on the mobile app, right? And then we'll have the mobile app. It should be ready by December, but then it's
Mm-hmm.
up to the Apple and Google gods to approve. I mean, Google is usually, cool. Apple, I've had my, experience with Apple app review, right? So uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah, Prathamesh, yeah. So yeah, there's a PWA right now. The PWA works very well, right? And push notifications work via the Frappe Cloud relay server. So if you're using Frappe Cloud, you will have push notifications available. But we are also working on a push notification relay of our own because the chat app needs some specialized
Mm-hmm.
uh, push notifications. So yeah, we are working on a mobile app. In fact, good news. After we are done with the mobile app, we'll actually publish, multiple documents about how to build a React Native mobile app the correct way using Frappe framework. Um, and Frappe React SDK also supports like React Native. So yeah, maybe
Nice.
we'll also have a live stream for that. Yeah.
Sure, sure. So Mil says hello from Argentina. Nice. Welcome to the show. So yeah, there is like Dinesh was asking push notification settings, please how to set up.
Yeah. See, if
Is
you're
there any?
self-hosted,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like if you're self-hosted, then the problem is that the relay server code is not been public yet because I think it's still undergoing development at Frappe, right? So currently, if you host it on Frappe Cloud, then you do get push notifications. As of right now, we are working on an alternative. We have discussions about this on our community, so you can join that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, but we
Cool.
are working on it. Yes.
Sounds good. So one interesting feature that you recently shipped was threads, right? Which is
Yeah.
which differentiates something like WhatsApp from Slack, right?
Yeah, I just
Mm-hmm.
updated the app, so I think the build went through on Frappe Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I mean, threads are this, right? There's some talk about a parking dispute at WeWork or something, right? But so yeah, website ideas dump thread, right? So let's say if you want to view this thread, so we when we were designing our website, we were like getting ideas from a bunch of other websites out there, right? So we just compiled them over here, and so it's really good for like threads like that because your entire channel doesn't become uh, crowded, right? So yeah, I mean threads are pretty simple, right? So let's say this is about PLM software, something that Rushabh I think was speaking to teenage engineering about. So let's say if you want to create a thread, you can just create a thread, and it creates a thread like that, and then you can have a discussion, right? So whoever sent the message is already part of the thread, and then other people can view the thread, and if they want to join in on the conversation, they can join the thread as well. And
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, you also have notifications for threads as well. So yeah, this was a big feature. Jambi made this. uh, yeah, this is what sort of you don't get on WhatsApp or or Telegram, right? But you do get it on Slack. Yeah, see, so Hussein's also sending a message. Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to
Uh,
show how like it works in real time, right? That's the
yeah,
framework ka real time feature doing the heavy lifting. But yeah.
yeah. In fact, we have also shipped a custom event handler.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that the Frappe framework, the new version, has been released, right? So it's been pushed to the
Mm-hmm.
version 15 branch.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but on our Raven Dev, I don't know if I can. Let's see, Raven Dev. So I have updated it, but yeah, let's see. Can someone send me a message on developers on Raven Dev? So we now have typing indicators, right? And the way that it works is that uh, we had this custom socket handler, which was earlier not possible, right? So Ankush, those of who Ankush, right? So he manages like the framework.
Everybody knows
He when
Ankush.
before leaving, yeah, so before
Mm-hmm.
leaving for the sabbatical, right? He actually shipped that feature wherein custom event handlers can be added by custom apps in Frappe framework, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's also documented, surprisingly, right? It's documented on the official documentation for Frappe framework. And so what that means is that let's say if someone starts typing,
Mm-hmm.
what we do is that we create this custom room and then add them as a member, and then we relay the participants of that room to all members in this room, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know if it's live on Raven or not, but I did see it on the community chat that we had. Right, someone was messaging me, and I did see the typing indicator. So I think it's been shipped somewhere. I just do
Mm-hmm.
not know where, which branch it is on. Um,
Cool.
but
So yeah,
yeah,
that those are cool features, right? And then Leandro says hello from Brazil. Frappe is amazing. Nice. So we have like audience from all over the world.
yeah.
Cool. So yeah,
Uh,
what else? Like these are all the features, right?
so
Like
yeah,
that
yeah. Like
any normal chat have has to. Then what you are talking about is like
correct.
how what next, right?
Yeah, yeah. So now, it's like let's say I'm on this developers channel, right? And maybe I want to, I mean, I wouldn't do it on the developers channel, right? But maybe on the finance channel, I want to share a document from like the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can just search for, let's say, a purchase invoice and then, whatever. I mean, I don't know what this purchase invoice is, but you get this preview and everything. Um, and then you can hit send, right? And yeah, so you can send like document links directly from Raven. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and all of these fields, right? Again, this is all framework. So all of these fields are customizable within the framework itself. So I think everyone knows how to customize form, right? So if you go to purchase invoice and you do customize form, so this is not something that is used a lot in framework. There's this thing called as in preview. So
Mm.
if you tick this, then that field will be shown over here on Raven, right? With the
Mm.
correct formatting and all, right? So it's also able to look at like the currency and all of that. So that's cool.
Nice.
And
So you
then
basically
if you
embedded
want to,
the preview right
yeah,
in the chat and
yeah, correct.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter if the doc type has in preview enabled, right? So there are two settings. There's one at the field level, there's one at the doc type level that okay, I want to allow quick preview or something, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So it doesn't matter if the main doc type has a preview enabled or not. So you're not really losing out on anything on the framework side, right? Like over there, it's not that you'll get unnecessary previews, but over here you'll get it. So and then you can print, and if there was a workflow, you could also do like workflow transitions directly from here. So you
Mhm.
can send documents like this if you wanted to print, right? So I don't know what the print format looks like. Yeah, there's some error. Yeah, I don't know about that, but let's see. I mean, I'm running a PWA, so wait. Okay. Yeah. So I think the it won't run on the PWA, right? So I need to show it over here maybe. Where did I send it? Forgot. Finance, right? Maybe,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah. So nope. I think uh that's interesting. Oh, it's using localhost 8000. Yeah, see, that's a bug, right? So I might have,
Live bug,
I
live
might
bug
have,
tracking, you know.
yeah, yeah. So
So
I might have hard coded that. Yeah. I need to
it works
fix
on my
that. Someone
local. How
create an
doesn't
issue.
it work on your computer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because you
Uh,
are using it on local, so it works.
yeah. But
Cool.
yeah, that needs to be fixed. I didn't know that. The other thing, right? Like, if you wanted to send this from ERP Next, you could also do that, right? So if I again go to, let's say, purchase invoice, and if I wanted to send, something from here, right? Like I wanted to send this, and then there is, just beside new email, there's a send a Raven button, and then you can use that to send it to someone, right? So I want to send it to the finance channel. This is the invoice for the stall, and you can hit send, and it also adds to your timeline.
Hmm.
And if I go to finance, so yeah, you get it over here, right? So that's just one of the integrations.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this integration which is about start a meeting. So I'll do this with you, I guess. So if I click on start a meeting, right? So we already have this event doc type, right,
Hmm.
in Frappe, which
Framework,
manages
yes.
the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now if you already have authorized your Google Calendar, you can just select your Google Calendar over here and then select a duration, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hit create, and just take some time, but yeah, you get an event thing, right? If you have permission, you'll be able to view the event as well, but you get the link,
Yeah, I
uh,
got the email.
right? And the yeah, and the link I think is also should be copied over, or I think you can copy it with the toast that was shown
One
over here,
sec. Yeah,
right?
see, I got the meeting invite.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So that's another thing that we added. Um, Then this is not an integration, but there is this another feature, right, that
Hmm.
we saw on Twitter, and we added,
Hmm.
like, like we would do, um, how about we meet at 1 p.m. tomorrow instead, right? And then you can click on this time button, right, and just
Hmm.
do that, and
Hmm.
hit save, and then it highlights it, right? It's showing 1 p.m. tomorrow to me,
Hmm.
but if you were in a different time zone, it would show, your time, right? So it automatically detects from like a plain text string, it will detect what all looks like a time zone,
Nice.
uh, like timestamp, sorry.
Hmm.
So yeah,
So yeah, I
that's
saw it on
there.
Twitter and I thought, okay, it would be cool. Someone was asking, right? Slack, bring this, and I sent it to you, and
Yeah,
you were like, okay, in 2 days, okay, here you go.
yeah. So I mean, it works for remote teams. Yeah, and then do you want to now get to like the fun features? Oh, there's another fun feature. There's this integration. I mean,
Hmm.
we haven't done a lot of like performance fixes and all of that over here. We need to do that, right? So this
Hmm.
needs to be completely revamped. But there is like inline chat, right? So
Hmm.
within ERP Next. Um,
Cool.
yeah, and then now we can go to like the fun features, right?
Yes.
Uh,
Let's do it.
yeah. So earlier there was no settings page on Raven, right? Like last year, you asked, right, what has changed since last year? There was no settings page at all because we didn't have a setting, right? The only setting that you had was this, right? Like just that, right? And you also have Command K, by the way, so you can search for
Hey,
any
Alberto.
channel, you can search
Here
for
you are.
anyone.
Nice. Alberto is here.
Hey,
Adil is here.
yeah, I just call him ABC because that's what he goes by everywhere. Uh, So
Nice.
yeah, and
Hmm.
then there is, I mean, you can access all of your settings, you can access any channels or members, right? So that's there. That's Command K or this search button, just click Command K, right?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, now we have a settings page. We have a profile page. You can also set your availability and all of that. Um, and set a custom status. So I think my custom status might be I mean, on my production I know it's yeah, it's just bots, right?
Hmm.
So uh But yeah, you can also set it from here. Like you can, you can set your custom statuses over here. So right now, let's say if I want to set it as do not disturb, it immediately tells everyone that it's do not disturb, right?
Yep.
And then we also did not have a way to actually add users on Raven a year ago. We assumed that everyone would add it from the Frappe interface, come here and then do it. So that's also there now. You can invite a new user, or if the user already exists in Raven, or sorry, on your Frappe, site,
Mm-hmm.
then the role is just added to them.
Mm-hmm. So
So
if it's
that's
not
there.
on the let's say not a part of Frappe system, does it send an invite or something?
Yeah, yeah, it sends an email, the standard email that you get with Frappe. It just
Okay.
creates a user with send welcome email as checked. So
Cool.
yeah. Then there is HR. So this is also pretty nice, right? So uh, I mean, we saw this on Teams. On
Mm-hmm.
Teams, what happens is that let's say if someone has said that they are out of office, it
Mm-hmm.
shows that this person is out of office, right? So you can do that now with Raven, wherein it
Mm-hmm.
connects directly to Frappe HR. And
Oh.
so if you say show if a user is on leave, and if they are on leave, everywhere that you see that particular user, you'll see that the badge says on leave, right?
Hmm. This is nice.
Um,
This is what
another,
I liked, right? This because you leveraged the existing app, and it's
yeah,
I don't know, tiny feature, but very useful in the sense that right now, like what happens is sometimes in Telegram, right? I get message while I'm
yeah,
on leave, and after a few minutes they say sorry to disturb you. I didn't know you were on leave, and it's like okay, fine.
right,
This will
yeah,
solve that.
yeah, no, yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's meant for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Venkatesh is asking, do you have functionality like webhook call for bot messages to the group? Yeah, yeah, we're getting there, right? See,
We're
see,
getting
we're
there.
getting there, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. There's also automatically create channels for departments. So again, this was like, I mean, we didn't have this problem, right? So, okay, so one of the fundamental problems that we have, right, is that
Mm-hmm.
when we ourselves use Raven, right, we have so few channels and so few members that they're like, I remember someone from the Frappy team itself said that, hey, the scroll doesn't work correctly or something, right? I'm like, oh, there is a scroll there. Right? Like it scrolls, right? Because we didn't even reach the end, right? So we didn't even test command K because you could access everyone from here.
Mm-hmm.
um but yeah, so for like a large company, you have a lot of departments, and then in
Mm-hmm.
each department there will be employees, right?
Mm-hmm.
And usually they want one department, one channel sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you create a new department in Frappe HR, it should create a channel, and then if you add or remove employees from that department, it should automatically, they should be added or removed from the channel in Raven, right? So this is what that feature does. Um, so
Nice.
yeah, those are like HR specific features. And then we can get to the good part,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, okay, so one feature that was requested, and it was requested last week, right? Like, what they wanted to do was, so I'll try doing this over here. I don't know if I have a message action ready. Okay, I do have a message action ready over here, right? But let me actually do it in a new place, right? So this place,
Mm-hmm.
right? So okay, so basically what you want to do is that sometimes you get messages,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to take those messages and uh, create something in the system. So example, let's say you are running you have developers and you have a QA team,
Mm-hmm.
right, on Raven, right? And the
Yep.
QA team is like, asking for like, oh, I found a bug, etc., whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so technically what you could do, right, is you want to take that message and you want to create an issue, right? Maybe a task in your project, or maybe an issue in your support system, like in Frappe help desk or something, right? So that's what message actions allow you to do. And uh Yeah, I mean, see, I can go there, right? But that'll take a lot more time. So I'm just going to finish this quickly. So yeah, I'll just show you how it works, right?
Mm.
I won't create this, but I'll show you how it works. And the thing is that it runs without doing like any programming,
Oh, I was
right?
expecting,
So you have
I was really expecting a server script like box here, that
oh,
you
no,
have
no,
an
no, no, no.
action and then you write a script. No.
No, no. So you can have two types of actions, right? Either you want to
Hmm.
create some document or you want to call like a custom API, which can create potentially three or four documents,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So yeah, in this case, I just want to create an issue, which is a doc type in the support module of ERP Next, right?
Hmm.
So you want to create a document, and this is enabled. That's fine.
Hmm.
I don't want to disable it. Yeah, and then you can have a title and say, create an issue in the support system, right? And you can also have a success message. I mean, these
Hmm.
are like pretty standard, but the
Hmm.
main thing is these fields,
Hmm.
right? So you can import fields from issue, which is the doc type. And so if you do that, then it will pull up all the mandatory fields of that doc type,
Hmm.
right? And then for all those mandatory fields, what you can do is you can set the type. If it's data, then you can also say whether it's email, telephone, or URL.
Hmm.
But then you also have numbers, select, right? So if you do select, then you get options, right? You have link. If you have link, then you also get options, but it's actually just a doc type drop
Hmm.
down, right?
Nice.
Then there is checkbox, date, right? Time, date, time, small text. So you have all of these, but
Hmm.
the main thing is now how do I map a field that's available on my message, on a Raven message to this, right?
Hmm.
So you can have a default value type. So you can have three default values, three types of default values.
Hmm.
Static. So in static, let's say by default, I want the issue priority, right, to always be low, right?
Hmm.
So my default value is just low,
Hmm.
right? And so that's done. And then let's say if my subject, what I want is that I want a field from the message.
Hmm.
So I want the content, but I don't want the HTML tags and all of that with it,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? But you can also, get the owner if you want the
Hey, this
user,
is cool.
right? You can also get timestamp. Yeah. So you have all of this, and
Hmm.
then um, you could also potentially have something as Jinja,
Hmm.
right? And in Jinja, you can just say frappe dot because I knew that some people might want to do, let's say, due date. They want to add like 5 days to it, right?
Hmm.
To the time the message was sent, and you want to add 5 days to it. So you can do that with Jinja, right? So you can just add whatever Jinja you want.
Hmm.
And you also have access to the message object over here. So you can also do, let's say, message dot content dot split or something like that. I don't know, something crazy, but
Hmm.
basically you can have these types of like default values,
Hmm.
right? Once you have that done, you can go to some channel. I don't know which channel I should use, but let's say testing notifications, right? So we just need to show who's seen it and who hasn't based on the timestamp. Okay, fine. I don't know what that is, but yeah, right. So then you have this actions now, right? And then you can do create support ticket, and you get all of this.
Nice.
So this is like the entire form builder. Again, the framework is doing the heavy lifting over here, right? We
Hmm.
already know what type of field it is and all of that.
Hmm.
So this is like a web form, but like for Raven, right? And it automatically brings in the content of the message.
Hmm.
And you can do pretty much anything, right? So you have Jinja, so you can do a lot. And then link fields and all of that works. I don't have any issue there, but yeah.
So it might be
And
so Jinja, I have a question. Does it
mm,
like call the backend to evaluate the Jinja and get back and then dump it here?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as you open this pop-up, right,
Hmm.
it makes an API call,
Hmm.
resolves all of the default values for the given action and the given message, and
Hmm.
returns the form state. And
Hmm.
then you set the state, and then if you hit save, it will create an issue. Hopefully this works. I don't know. Yeah. And then once the issue has created, right, it also adds it like as a document link, right? So if you open this over here, right? So you have the subject and description. And
Mm-hmm.
then because it's linked to the message, you also get the timeline. So you can actually go back, like in the timeline, you can go back to the channel where it started,
Nice.
right? So yeah, that's message actions. We just shipped it. There is a bug though. I was able to create this uh, because I am the owner of this message right now. I think I just found that bug. I've just pushed that fix, but Frappe Cloud, I don't know whether the deployment has succeeded or not. But anyway, so that's message actions.
Mm-hmm.
Then there
So
is
there is one
scheduled
question
messages, right?
regarding it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so Adil says that's really interesting. What happens if the fields change in some Frappe update? Let's say.
Then you'll have to manually do it, but I highly doubt that fields, that important fields change. I haven't seen it change a lot, but yeah, then you're out of luck, right? Because there is no one-to-one relationship between the, because we wouldn't even know when the doc type has updated, right?
Hmm.
And if we start doing that, then the migration would become slower.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's up to you to keep it
Yeah,
updated.
usually breaking changes are like in major version upgrades and then like
Yeah.
hmm.
And
Cool.
then again, so the entire idea, right, is what we need to do is we need to make it low code or no code, right? No
Hmm.
code is the best, and then low
Mm-hmm.
code,
Hmm.
right? And so see, that's the crazy part, because when once we get over here, right, once we come over here, right,
Mm-hmm.
then the low code no code part actually shines through, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, scheduled messages are the same. You would expect there to be a server script.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, there is a server script. Right? So let's say I want a reminder for GST, right? I always forget about GST. What's the date today? 17th. Okay. Yeah, I need to file it. Okay. So GSTR 1A reminder, right? And I want it on the finance channel.
Mm-hmm.
Which bot should trigger? Fine, Expenso can trigger it, right? How frequent? Maybe date of the month. Um, I want this to be triggered on the 9th, let's
Let's
say,
do every minute.
and
Let's do every minute.
every minute.
Custom.
There's custom.
Yeah, yeah, let's do every minute. So we'll see it
I
on
don't think,
screen.
I don't think, yeah, I don't think there will be every minute, right? Because we
Oh,
intentionally did not add that, right? Because
oh,
no one
okay.
would want it,
So let's do
right?
2 minutes from now. 7:13.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
7:13.
5 minutes, zero. That's it, right? I'll have to ask Yash how this works, but I think this is the cron tab that
Wednesday.
works like this.
No. Oh, okay, wait.
Thursday.
Yeah. No, I think it
Yeah,
is, if it is cron, then okay, minute is
we'll see the server script that's generated, right? So
okay,
let's
fine.
just do that.
Yeah.
This is a reminder to submit your GST returns, right? And I don't know if it works. I haven't tried. Hmm. Oh, okay. No, it has to be on a given hour. So it's seven. Let's say 7:20 for now, right? What's the date? And month should be 10, right? Nope.
It's
I
like
think there is
this
some
is
validation error.
hmm.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Okay, it needs to be in the 24-hour format.
It's
Ah,
not
right. So this
cron.
is 19. Yeah. Makes sense. Okay. Anyway, so let's try to create this. Okay, let's see the cron that's actually created. So behind the scenes, it's actually creating a server script,
Hmm.
right? So yeah, it is cron.
Hmm.
It's actually cron, right? So
So
yeah,
I would
behind
have
the
added
scenes,
star,
it is.
I think, for every
Yeah,
file.
I think the
Hmm.
star work. Oh, Starbucks. Okay, fine. Yeah. So you get like scheduled, messages, right? So again, this is the same thing, right? 2019, 17, 10, 4. Same thing as over here, right? So it is cron, but the thing is that it's just creating a server script in the background, right?
Hmm.
That's pretty much what it's doing.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's scheduled messages. And then let's go back. Let's close this. I'm confused with so many ravens. Okay. Uh, so wait, where did I create it? I created it here. Okay. Then we have webhooks, right? Again, webhook is a feature that already exists in Frappe.
Mm-hmm.
All we have done is that given it a nice looking UI,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you can have a trigger event. Let's say I want a webhook whenever message is sent, and then you can have conditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I want it whenever it's sent on the developers channel, for example,
Hmm.
right? And then I can select what all data do I want. So I want the channel, which is kind of stupid because I already know what it is, text, and then let's say I want the message type, right? And then I
Mm-hmm.
can preview it. So I can select an example, right? So I can preview what the body of the webhook would look like, right?
Nice.
So all of that's there. And then you have headers. So you can also set, headers, right? So like some
Authorization
custom
and
headers that you
etc.
want.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then obviously, you have like webhook secret and all for security. You can set your request timeout, your request URL, and the name of the webhook. And that's I mean, what it will do in the background is just create a webhook for Frappe itself, right? And the Frappe's webhook doc type. It will just create that. Uh,
Mm-hmm. But
but it
one
makes it easy
interesting
to
thing,
make
like
Raven specific.
no, the
Yeah.
in webhook doc type we have this. Let's say there are two things, right, that you need for triggering a webhook. There is the doc type and the event. So usually that event is like create, read, update, delete. But in here I see the trigger event is more related to messages. How are you converting that to like
So
so?
yeah, so message sent means whenever Raven message is inserted.
Okay, and message reacted on.
Yeah, whenever message reaction is created.
Okay, so you that is also a doc type.
Yeah,
Cool.
everything's a doctor. A doctor
Doc
is a
type is a
doctor,
doc
right?
type.
So yeah,
Cool. So yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I mean those are like the features that were already there somehow, like except for message actions, but everything else was there. We just brought it over here,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we did it in a way that is suitable for Raven, right? So that's what crafted UI or custom UI is, right? So
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I mean you might have seen that over here we had to select a bot,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's get to the bots. Um,
Yes.
okay, so bots in Raven,
Mm-hmm. Can
you
you
can
zoom in
create a
just
bot.
like maybe 10%?
Yeah, I can. I can. I don't know if the UI will break though, or maybe I can close this out.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, bots on Raven are like, um, so again, bot is a doc type, right? But bots are of two types, right? One is like a standard bot, and the other is like an AI bot,
Mm-hmm.
right? AI bot just gets more features. The standard bot essentially is just used for like sending reminders, like schedule messages. We're also working on the notifications feature, that is wherein something, let's say a salary slip is submitted and you want to send it to an employee,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that also works. Like, I mean, the bot will send it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a bot can be used for that, and in your custom apps, you can also use bots for different things. So I'll try creating a very standard bot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then let's add AI features, progressively to it,
Nice.
right?
The fun part.
So
Yay.
yeah, the fun part. So yeah, let's just create a basic bot, right? And it's not an AI bot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So uh, a bot for my custom app, right? So and if I hit create, right, so you'll see that there's this API docs
Mm-hmm.
tab now. So if you go to API docs, you'll see, like, you'll get to know how to use basic bot, right? What to do to,
Mm-hmm.
for it to send a message.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to send a message to a channel, you want to use the bot to send the message. Uh, and if you have a custom Frappe app, or if you have a server script, all you
Mm-hmm.
need to do is just do frappe.getDoc basic bot, and then basic bot.send a message,
Mm-hmm.
right? To the channel ID and text.
Mm-hmm.
You can also send this text. I mean, the text can be HTML, but you can also send it in Markdown.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you requested this feature.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, basically I was using it
yeah,
to like So I even posted it on Twitter, I guess, when you released bots first. I
Yeah,
wanted to get a Raven message every time someone enrolled in the Dubai batch.
yeah.
So that was fun for a few days, and then it flooded. Now there are like 3,000 enrollments and 3,000 unread messages. So yeah, that's how I remember this.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty
Oh, okay.
useful. So we have a lot
Yeah,
of
I
this
mean,
Telegram server scripts, like we have this, okay, new
yeah.
enrollment, new payment, like the Stripe
Yeah.
dopamine boost, like that we have, and like
Hmm. Yeah. I think there is also an integration in Insights, right? So
yeah, for
Insights has
Telegram.
like you can
Hmm.
send it to, yeah, for Telegram. So for like Raven, it's very simple. You just select
Hmm.
the bot, and then the code is just simple. Just get doc and send message, or send message like this. You can also
Hmm.
send a message with a document link.
Hmm.
So you can send a message with, let's say, a lead, right? Or
Hmm.
I mean, similar to that, right? So you'll get your preview and everything, and then users can actually go back. So
Hmm.
let's say in your case, you could get a message with a document link of, the enrollment itself, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so you can click on it and go back to like Frappe School LMS. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, and then you can also send a direct message to a user, and pretty much the same parameters, right? Actually, exactly the same parameters is just send direct message, and then you have this user ID,
Hmm.
right? So there are more features in bots, like so you can also create channels. So bots can create channels. Bots can add members and remove members from channels. So those are also there, but for that you'll have to read the ravenbot.py file that we have on Raven, right?
That
The
is.
documentation that I could bring, I brought it over here, right? So I think someone was asking a question, right? Like, do you have functionality like webhook call for bot messages to the group? Um, so yeah, you have bot messages and you have webhooks. So I mean, either one of them will satisfy your
Hmm.
requirement, I guess. Uh,
Is server script enabled on this site? Like,
yeah, it is enabled.
so
Yeah,
maybe from system console we can send a quick message.
yeah. I mean, I got a message, right?
Ah, that reminder works. Nice. At 7:20
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. Nice.
yeah. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
So yeah, similarly, I guess then
uh,
you could control this schedule somehow, right? You could control
yeah,
when
yeah.
this
I mean,
triggers.
basically, yeah, the
Hmm.
schedule message, like, actually, you know what? It's a good idea, right? You want to see
Hmm.
how a bot works? See the,
Oh,
I mean, we just insert the
this is
script,
interesting.
right? Yeah. So,
Okay,
see,
okay.
that's the power of the framework, right? Like,
Hmm.
I mean,
So how do
I
you
mean, you
edit it
create.
then? So suppose I want to edit the message.
So, yeah, so you go to your. Let me go back. Uh, So you go back to your scheduled messages and you edit this.
So even if like I edit the server script, it will override, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, okay, so
Hmm.
the way it works is that we have our own doc type called as Raven Scheduler Event,
Okay,
right? And
got it.
then this creates the
Server script
scheduler event, which is the server script. Yeah, correct.
makes sense.
So that's how it works.
Cool.
Um, Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So
Hmm.
yeah. So yeah. I mean, that's one of the ways that you can use bots, right?
Hmm.
So we already are doing it with like notification triggers because most people don't know how to code. So the
Hmm.
actual goal is to not be able to like not write code to do things.
Hmm.
But if you knew how to write code, you could use bots, and these are like very, very simple APIs to use,
Hmm.
right? Simple functions
Yeah, yeah.
to
You
call.
gave
Yeah.
a good example, I guess. A few days ago when we were talking, you said like we could uh so right now it is manual that we add whoever enrolls to a particular batch, we create a channel and then enroll them, right? This could be automated
Yeah.
where automatically the bot will add them and then maybe
Yeah.
send reminder messages of evaluations, right? Uh,
Yeah.
maybe when AI part
Like,
comes, help them as well, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I remember, like when we take these courses, especially these live classes, right? We have to like
Hmm.
spend 5 to 10 minutes to ask everyone, "Hey, have you joined Raven? Right? Do I need to add you to this group? Right? Okay, fine. I'll search for your name, and then I mean, all of that can be automated. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
hopefully.
yeah. Okay. So we're done with the basic bots,
Hmm.
right? Let's make the fun ones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't know if I should make it on my production or should I make it on Raven Dev. I don't know about that. But I can first, I think what we need to do is we need to show what bots are capable of,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then build it, right?
Cool.
Because naturally, what people think is that it's a lot of programming.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so the entire idea is that you should be able to add AI features to the framework or to your custom apps or to ERP Next, right? Without writing a single line of code, right?
Nice.
So that's the idea. And let's look at this expenso bot that I created. So this is production, by the way, right? This is our like company, you know, Raven and company ERP Next and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, what expenso bot does is that it will take and expenso is just just a name, right? We gave it the name, right? So we can call it whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what expenso does is that it takes in, let's say, images or PDFs of receipts. So let's say your employee is on a trip, right? On a business trip, um, and you take cabs, you take flights, you take, you go out, have dinner or something, and you have these bills, and you need to submit these bills, right? So what usually happens is that these people, they come back, they collect all of these bills from, and usually it's Uber rides and stuff, so it's on their phone, so they need to transfer it,
Yeah.
to their laptops, and then send it, attach it on an expense claim, and
Mm-hmm.
then file the expense claim, look at the amounts, and do all of that, right? So now what you could do is that you could just take a screenshot, right? And I did it on my phone, by the way. I think I did it on my phone. I don't remember, but yeah, you take a screenshot, right? And you just send it to the bot as a DM on the PWA, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it will, so this is the screenshot, right? You can also zoom in, by the way, in Raven. So yeah, so 257.17, it's an Uber XL ride, right? So let's close this. I'm already zoomed in.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, yeah, so what the bot does is that it says it looks like you incurred an expense for an Uber expense XL ride. It talks a lot. I mean, I don't like that, right? But it talks a lot, right? So, but uh,
Maybe you should
yeah,
like
given the
tell him
details,
not to talk that much.
yeah, maybe that should be in the prompt, right? So, uh, yeah, I will categorize this expense under travel, so it knows like expense category type in Frappe HR, and then it creates an expense claim, right? So this amount, don't worry about this amount. This is the live amount, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the amount that it added was 257.17,
Hmm.
right? Okay, then I sent it another one.
Hmm.
And this time I sent it for 329.64,
Hmm.
right? In case someone's wondering, these are trips which we took during Frappeverse.
Travelers.
And yeah, and also these are not Mumbai cab rates. It just happens to be that our hotel was very close by to the center, to the venue, right? And I mean, these prices are just way too high for a 2 kilometer ride. So yeah, so it again, it talks a lot, right? But it decodes everything in that receipt and adds it. So it did not create a new expense claim, right? Because then your HR manager is going to go crazy, right? So it took that same expense claim and added one row to it,
Hmm.
right? So again, I sent it another. This one is for 163.06, right? And then it says, okay, I took a go priority ride, again talks a lot, right? And then yeah, it again updated the same expense claim. And then finally I sent it another one, this one for 223.93, right? And then it sent, like, it created again, and now this is the final amount, right? So if I open this, uh so okay, see, that's the cool part, right? It knew who the expense approver is,
Hmm.
uh, right? Then it also added the expenses, and the dates are correct, by the way,
Hmm.
right? It knew the expense claim type. In this case, everything's travel, so it's fine. But
Hmm.
at Frappiverse, we also showed an example of it figuring out that it's food, right?
Hmm.
So, and then it entered the correct amounts over here.
Hmm.
This grand total was computed by Frappe HR, right? By the expense claim doc type. So it didn't have to
Hmm.
do any of this. It just had to
Hmm.
add this row, right?
Hmm.
But the cool part is that it also added all of these attachments over here, all the files that we sent
Hmm.
to it, right? So it was able to add all of these attachments to the expense claim. And I think I can show you one that Aditya filed, and this was also done through AI. So look at this, right? This was done through AI as well. So he also sent it. For some reason, some PNG files don't work, but he just converted all of them, like, like changed the file extension and sent it, so it worked. But yeah, again, this it was able to take all of these parts, right, and then um, yeah, create the expense claim, right? So it does this
Nice.
on like it creates it as a draft document, right? Anyway, you can't approve your expense claims, right? But anyway, I mean, what we have given it the permission to is just create. We
Hmm.
haven't told it to delete or to submit or something, right? So I think we've
Hmm.
given it permissions to delete, but yeah, let's go back to the bot, right? So how did this happen?
Hmm.
uh, that's the crazy part. Like if I showed this to someone, um, if I just showed this to someone, right, they would say, oh yeah, I mean, we have seen enough AI applications that do that, right? I have written a bot that can do that. I have written a bot that can do that. um, but over here what we have is you can create these bots yourself, right? And you can do that without writing any code. So that's the cool part.
Power. You
um,
have not built
yeah,
bots, you have built builder of
bot
bots.
builder.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've installed Raven in my server, and in the Raven dashboard, I'm unable to see options related to webhook. Just file a GitHub issue, maybe, right? Or maybe upgrade to the latest version. I mean, I already found two bugs. One was that print bug, that stupid print bug, and there was another bug that I forgot, right? Uh,
The owner wala
yeah,
bug.
there was some other bug. Oh no, that I've fixed, right? So yeah,
Hmm.
we'll just keep fixing bugs, right? So yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, so how did we do that? First of all, you enable is AI bot, but before that, what you need to do, yeah, just Venkatesh, you can file an issue, right? I don't know what options you're talking about, but yeah, just file an issue and we'll have a look. Um, yeah. Okay. So first thing, you need to go to OpenAI settings, right? And you need to set organization ID, project ID, and Open API key, right? OpenAI API key. You need to set these three things. So for that, you'll have to load money into OpenAI.
Hmm.
So where is OpenAI? Okay, so I'm here on OpenAI, right? You can get your organization stuff. So you can get your organization ID over here.
Hmm.
And if the project ID is not mandatory, but if you want to use a specific project, then you can take the project ID from here. Then you can go to dashboard, go to API keys, right? And oh, Hussein, I think there's a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Don't worry. You are listening. Uh, it
Oh,
isn't going
okay.
to the
I'm
audience.
listening. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Wow, that is like magic. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, and then you create your API key from here, right? So you create a secret key. So you do that, right? Once you have that, you go here and you add org ID, project ID, and the API key. Once you have done that, uh, you go to bots, and let me show. Uh-huh. Okay. Is this zoom enough?
Yeah, it's fine, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you go to the AI tab, right? And on the AI tab, okay. So what do we want this bot to do, right? Okay. So what do we want this bot to do? We want the bot to write documents, right? We want the bot to be able to scan PDFs, right? Because I did not send it PDFs. but you still want it to be able to scan PDFs. And you want the, yeah, I mean, you don't want the bot to run any code. You're not uploading Excel sheets or anything. But if you were, you would do enable code interpreter, right? So allow bot to write documents, yes. Enable file search, yes. I have enabled debug mode. So what debug mode does is that if there was an error when the bot was performing some operation, it will show you the error stack trace, right? It's meant for debugging, but you can disable it once your bot is working fine, right? Yeah, and don't worry about this assistant ID. This is a read-only field. This comes automatically. What happens is that when we create a bot, we go to OpenAI and we create an assistant, an OpenAI assistant. This is a feature that's in beta in OpenAI, so we use that. Then we
So,
have these instructions.
mhm.
Yeah,
So there is a
go ahead,
question.
go ahead.
Minter says how
Yeah,
much difficult it would be if we can use Grok and Gemini. I was also interested in this because I think right now there is a tight coupling between OpenAI ChatGPT, right? And this
not
because you're using
really, not
assistants.
really.
So the assistant
Yeah,
feature
but
is
if
like
you
very
look at,
specific. Mm-hmm.
no, not really. Like if you look at the entire thing, right? Like so OpenAI is the only one that actually has assistance as of now, right?
Mm-hmm.
The others don't have that. That's one. That's one problem, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I do not. I mean, Gemini sucks, so yeah, I wouldn't recommend that anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Grok, I've heard a lot of good things about, and then there's also Llama. We are exploring that. The entire stack that you see over here has no direct coupling to OpenAI. You
Mm-hmm.
can technically, I mean, it will require some code change, but you can technically change the provider, right? As long as that provider supports, function calling and this other stuff, right? That we
Mm-hmm.
have like instructions, function calling, assistance with runs and threads, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but technically possible, I think eventually all of the big players will have these features. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, OpenAI is leading, but yeah, when they do, we'll just give a drop down, right? Just select whatever model you want to use.
Yes.
Yeah,
So what model are
there's
you like using from
yeah.
OpenAI? Is it GPT 4.0
So
or?
right now, yeah, GPT 4.0, the
Mm-hmm.
latest one, right? Not O1 because it takes, I mean, imagine the kind of stuff that O1 would say, right? 4.0, talks so much for an expense plane, right? Like, so yeah, but what we plan to do is that on this
Mm-hmm.
bot itself over here, you'll be able to select the model as well, because for certain tasks, you might be tempted to use a 3.5 turbo because that's cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
right? Again, each model has its own pricing related to the tokens and stuff, so you probably need to,
Mm-hmm.
select a model. Right now, we just hard coded it, but it won't take a lot of time for us to, populate a list of all the models available, and then you select a model that you want to
Mm-hmm.
use with the bot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay. So do we? Okay, let's get to the instructions, right? So um, hmm, how do we do this? So how do I explain
So do you
instructions?
have
So
any idea like maybe we can create a bot from scratch? Probably that
yeah,
would make
maybe
more
that's
sense.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's create a bot that does purchasing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what I want this bot to do is I want this bot to be able to take invoices and create purchase invoices in the system,
Mm-hmm.
right? So purchase bot, yeah. I obviously want it to be able to like write documents,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let's enable debug mode for now. I don't need the code interpreter because it's not processing files like Excel sheets, right? But enabling file search is, I mean, it will read PDF files, so let's do that, right? And then let's write some instructions. Okay, so uh, so what do we want this bot to do, right? You want to say, mm, let me know if the like I'm going to use dictation,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe I can just type, right? So you are an assistant running on an ERP system
Mm-hmm.
helping the purchase department or some department, I don't know, right? Uh, the Your job is to take
Mm-hmm.
uh, hmm, Your job is to take, or let's say, users will send you PDF files,
Mm-hmm.
right? And of invoices, and you need to create purchase invoices in the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Then there is like, okay, that's not a lot of information, right? Uh, each purchase invoice has a GST number of the each purchase invoice has a GST number of the supplier, right? Use the function to get the supplier ID from the GST number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll get to the functions part, but uh, please do not. Okay, can you add instructions? Please do not give any explanation. Just complete the task. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we will, right? But like for testing, we still need to know how it's thinking, what it's doing, right?
Yeah, yeah, maybe at the end we
So
can try it out.
yeah, yeah. So use the supplier ID to create the purchase invoice. Um, map the items
Mm-hmm.
in the so map the items in the invoice to items in available in the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
What else? Always use the amount without tax, since the system will add the tax automatically. That's another thing that it needs to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
um I think that's pretty much it, right? So always use the amount without tax, which is the net total, right? And since the system will add the tax automatically, after you have created the invoice, you can call the function to attach the PDF file
Mm-hmm.
to the said purchase invoice, right? Am I forgetting something? I don't think so. I think this should be good enough, right? The
Mm-hmm.
only problem is, right? So let me show you like a sample invoice, right? So like this is like a sample invoice. Wait, I need to go to my cluttered desktop. Wait, what do I do with this? Uh, hmm, Interesting. Okay, this is like a sample invoice, right? This is from
Mm-hmm.
Google.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but see, it's got two GSTs. It's got one GST over here, one GST over here, right? It shouldn't be confused with what the GST number of the supplier is, right? Because we are not the supplier,
Mm-hmm.
right? Google India Private Limited is the supplier. Um, the other thing is that it needs to fill in, it needs to map this Google workspace. It also needs to fill in the invoice date and the invoice number correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to not use this amount, but it needs to use this amount,
Mm-hmm.
right? Without the tax.
Mm-hmm.
So we've told it all of that, but we need to still tell it what company we belong to,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the problem right now is that it doesn't know that, right? So I can hard code it, right? The company in the system is blah blah blah. I can do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or what I could do is I could enable something called as dynamic instructions.
Okay.
So as soon as I do that, you get some variables over
Mm-hmm.
here, right? So you can say company, right? So the company in the system is, and then you can paste it, right? So company,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, and the current user's name is full name. So it's, yeah. So now with dynamic instructions, what happens is that you can customize it based on who called. See, remember that expenso bot?
Mm-hmm.
What happened was it knew that I uploaded it and it knew that Aditya uploaded it. And when it created the expense claim, it chose the correct employee.
Hmm.
So it knew that because of dynamic instructions,
Okay.
right? What will happen is that when we call this bot, we send it instructions by parsing the Jinja at runtime.
Hmm.
So we give it even more context,
Okay.
right? And you can write any Jinja. These are variables that we have provided, but you can like literally write any Jinja like that's supported in Frappe framework. And you
Hmm.
can also preview them over here, right? So see,
Nice.
right? Usually what you would also like to do is you would like to wrap them in quotes, right? At least the variables that it would use, right? It would use this as a variable maybe, right?
Hmm.
So you have this now, right? So that's good. Uh, you'll also see there's this import from template and it says no templates found. But let me first create the bot and then I'll show you what the template does, right? So we do create, and what this will do is that it will go in the background, right? And let's see over here, and it will create a bot over here. See, purchase bot it created.
Hmm.
See,
Nice.
right? And this is the same thing that we did, right? So anyway, coming back, right? So and you'll see there's this OpenAI assistant ID now, right?
Hmm.
But someone asked earlier that will you be training it according to ERP next and all of that, right? That was the first thing that I did, right? So I wanted to train it everything that it needs to know about ERP next. The problem is that these bots, they have a context window. You
Hmm.
can't give them a lot of information. They need to be very, very specific, right? And the OpenAI, Llama, all of these companies, they're working at on improving that context window. So that's why GPT-4o is much more faster than 3.5 Turbo,
Hmm.
right? Or much more better because it's got a
Hmm.
larger context window in terms of tokens that it can capture. So you cannot really train it. And the other thing is that with training, there is no you know reliability with it, right? And like AI assistants anyway hallucinate a lot. So like just it needs to be much more reliable, right? So that's why what we did was we added functions, right? And we'll go to the function builder and we'll create a few functions. So the first function that we need is to create a purchase invoice, right? So I said create, and we do, let's say, create document.
Hmm.
Again, you would say, you would see functions and you'd be like, oh, I need to write some code. Yeah,
Hmm.
you don't.
Hmm.
That's the point. So yeah, create document, and then you select purchase invoice,
Hmm.
right? And it automatically fills in this, create purchase invoice. You can change this name if you want to,
Hmm.
but it needs to be a function name. It cannot contain spaces and all of that.
Hmm.
And then this function creates a purchase invoice in the system, right? By default, because you're doing create document, requires write permission is already checked,
Hmm.
and you cannot disable it. Makes sense, I guess. So yeah, then in a purchase invoice, we don't want it to fill all the fields, right? Like there are like 200 something fields maybe, right, in a
Hmm.
purchase invoice document,
Hmm.
and that's a lot of fields. So don't make it fill everything. Just do import fields from purchase invoice,
Hmm.
right? And the first thing that comes about is naming series. Well,
Hmm.
do I really want AI to fill the naming series? Not really, right? Like
Hmm.
I can default it. So what
Hmm.
I'll do is that I'll just say, maybe I'll use this one. I don't know what we are using in our system, but we are going to delete this invoice anyway, so it
Hmm.
doesn't matter. Yeah. So I can set a default value, and then I can say do not ask AI to fill this field. So AI wouldn't even know that this field exists in a purchase invoice,
Hmm.
right? Again, it's got a very limited context window. So you
Okay.
need to ensure that it is not bombarded with information. It
Makes
is
sense.
given the information that it requires,
Hmm.
right? So yeah, so I did that. So it's grayed out now. Do not ask AI, right? Supplier it needs, right? So supplier, that's fine. What now? See, the thing with suppliers is that supplier is a link field,
Hmm.
right? So in certain cases, you might already have the supplier available, right? So if you want to further reduce the context window, okay, so you know what? I think I might jump a lot of things over here.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I need to go step by step, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have the doc type, purchase invoice. If you want a field in the child table, you can select any of these. Like these are all the child tables. As I said, purchase invoice is like a beast of a doc type, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Then you have all these fields again, beast of a doc type, right? So you can select any of these fields, right? And automatically these things are filled in, right? So variable type, string, integer, number, boolean. You can set a default value. We don't want a default value for supplier. We definitely want AI to fill this field. It's required, right?
Mm-hmm.
Supplier description is the supplier. So, but we need to be very specific about the description because this goes to the AI bot,
Hmm.
right? So you would say supplier ID, right? And because supplier is like vague, it might send in the the name as shown on the PDF, or it might send in the GST number. So
Hmm.
instead, just be very, very specific.
Hmm.
Um, and in options, what you could do is that you can specify like you want to reduce the context window, right? So let's say if your use case was that, okay, you know what, I don't have a lot of suppliers that actually come to us, right?
Hmm.
It's always going to be these 5 6 suppliers,
Hmm.
right? Then you can quickly import them. So you can just say, okay, which all suppliers do you want, right? So I want this, I want this, right? And so what will happen is that the bot will only use these two, right? It won't try to figure out which supplier it is. It will use either of these two, right?
So if
So, but we don't want to do that for now.
yeah, so what will happen if
Yeah,
there are no options? Will it try to look into the system and see what all suppliers are already there and which
yeah,
one maps? Okay.
yeah, correct. So the function that we gave it, or not, the instruction that we gave it was use the GST to find the supplier, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so it will use the GST number of the supplier. It will make an API call. We'll make that function as well.
Mm-hmm.
Get the supplier ID and then pass it over here.
Hmm. Makes sense.
So, okay. So supplier posting date is fine, right? The date of the invoice in YYY MMDD format. This is again important, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that it came automatically because we did this, right? Because we know that people won't specify this. It needs to be specified because date can be in any format.
Hmm.
So it needs to be in this format. um, Credit to. Now, luckily in our case, we only have one account for all suppliers, right?
Hmm.
But technically, you can also tell the bot, hey, get the default credit account or get the default payable account for this supplier. And you can do that. There's an API in ERP next to do it. But I know which API or which account to use. So I'm just going to say, creditors, right?
Hmm.
So we know that it's always creditors in our system. So this, do not ask AI to fill this field. Fine. There is item name, but the thing is, we actually have item codes as well, right?
Hmm.
But item code is not required in purchase invoice, and item code actually has all of the tax settings and everything. So we need the item code. So let's actually add a new field, right? Now, item code is okay. For those of you who do not know what a purchase invoice looks like in the system, uh, so let's see. I mean, this is what a purchase invoice looks like, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Supplier, date, and all of that, right? So we need these two fields as well, by the way, supplier invoice number and supplier invoice date. Even though it's not mandatory, but for GST reconciliation and stuff, we do need it. Um, and then there is item, which is a link field. It's not required. The item name is required because sometimes people just create invoices without creating items in the system, right? But we need the item so that the tax template and all of that is applied correctly.
Hmm.
So let's go back here. Okay, what did we need? We needed the supplier invoice number, right? So bill number, supplier invoice number. So that's okay. And we need to make it required. We also needed the supplier invoice date,
Hmm.
right? Again, this can also be required, right? That's fine. Uh, okay, we needed the item code, right? So we needed item code. That is available in the child table. So we select purchase invoice item, the child table,
Mm-hmm.
and then we select item code. Now see, item code, right? We can actually quickly import these items because I know for a fact that the invoices that I'm going to upload, right, they are going to be like the monthly invoices, right? For all the special invoices, we anyway have to create some items ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to reduce the context window now,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm going to upload, let's say, air travel, airport charges, maybe Google Workspace, maybe hotel room, office rent, Razorpay X charges for payroll and processing. I think that's pretty much it, right? I don't want anything else. So I've given it these
Hmm.
options,
So is it
and it
possible
will
like
use,
we can
yeah,
instruct it later, maybe not now. Instruct it that
yeah,
okay, if the item doesn't exist, maybe create that item in
yeah,
the system. So
yeah, yeah. So the actual bot that we showed at Frappiverse was, if the supplier does not exist, create the supplier.
oh nice.
Yeah, and then if the invoice, sorry, if the item does not exist, create the item with the HSN code as well.
Oh nice.
So yeah, uh, but yeah, you could do that. In this case,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just keeping it simple because then we'll spend a lot of
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Works.
okay, so we have item name. So let's call this so item name or description. It could be like anything. I don't care. Um, then there is quantity, right? Which we do need, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but I just want it to be quantity, right? Like, and I don't need to tell it, quantity of the item. I mean, that's pretty much it. That's good
Hmm.
enough. Um, UOM, you know what? It's always going to be numbers in our case. So let's just say numbers and, do not ask AI. The entire point is to, not ask AI for things that is like stupid. UM conversion factor, again, you set it to 1, right? Do not ask AI, right? Doesn't matter. Stock quantity, you want it, right? So again, you would just say quantity. See, it's not a stock item that we are actually importing, right? So that's why I'm cutting these corners, right? I'm just saying, quantity of the item, right?
Hmm.
Um, Stock quantity, or maybe I don't need this. Wait, where is quantity? We need a search field for this. That's something that I
Mm-hmm.
did not do correctly. Wait. So stock quantity, maybe we can get rid of it. Hopefully
It's
it works.
required,
I
right?
think it will work.
Was
Yeah,
it
it's
required?
required, but usually what happens is that it's filled in with the UOM and the
Hmm.
conversion factor, like automatically. Yeah.
Then it's cool.
Okay. I mean, that happens in ERP next. We don't do it, right? So
Hmm.
then the rate, right? So the rate of the item without any tax, but with discount, right? I mean, we do it this way. Some people might want to use the separate discount field, but we just do it with discount like this way. So, but yeah, you want the rate, obviously. Amount you don't want. Now, this is something that, looks like, you would want it, but you don't really want it, right?
Hmm.
Because you see um,
Rate into
the amount is
quantities.
computed. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a read-only field that happens, right? So you don't
Hmm.
need it, even though it's a required field, right?
Hmm.
So, oh, I remember what happened. Okay, so when I was building message actions,
Hmm.
right, I added a new filter that says that do not fetch the read-only fields.
Okay.
But I did not do that for this, for import fields from purchase
Hmm.
invoice
I
over
thought
here
like these are
informations.
common components, so maybe.
Oh, no, because over there it's very different.
Hmm.
Over there you cannot do child table.
Okay.
Uh, so over here you can do child table, and the information that is being sent is also different.
Hmm.
But yeah, so the import is working the same way, right? It's just that the drop down or something. I think I've added a filter for the read only fields. Anyway, we don't need the amount, right? So yeah, the base rate, again, base rate is of the item, right? Rate of the item without taxes but with discount, right?
Hmm.
So you add it, right? So you have rate.
Hmm.
Actually, you technically don't even need the base rate. You don't need the base amount, right? Because again, these are again computed by ERP Next, right? It just converts from one currency to the other. So maybe we get rid of it. I don't know if it will work, but yeah, let's see. But yeah, this is pretty much what you need, right? So you have given these 6 options for item code. and that's your create purchase invoice function, right? And we can create it. Okay, so it's created now. And we can go to our bot, right? Purchase bot, and into the functions tag and add the function. So we want create purchase invoice, spelling, yeah, create purchase invoice. And so you have the create purchase invoice bot
Mm-hmm.
function done, right? Now we need another function that is to get the party from the GSTIN.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, I need to call a API, and that API I can find in commit. So let's see. It's in India compliance. So India compliance, develop branch is fine.
Yeah, this is
I
cool,
think
by the
it's
way.
get.
For those who don't know, it's like this tool is also built by the commit company, Nikhil's team, and it lets you browse like the ERD diagram and the custom APIs, and I think now it lets you browse the documentation of the code and
Yeah,
much more.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the code, the Bruno file if you want
Hmm.
to use Bruno, and then
Hmm.
the documentation. And
Hmm.
if you were running it locally, you can also test your APIs directly from here. Like there's like a
Hmm.
proper API testing thing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, we need get party for GSTN. If I look at the code, it
Hmm.
says, okay, it takes in GSTN and party type is defaulted to supplier. That's good for us, right?
Yep.
Uh, because then the AI doesn't even need to think about it. We can just call this function get party for GSTN, right?
Hmm.
And it will actually return the supplier ID, right?
Hmm.
So let's copy this and let's go back to our bot. So we'll create another function, right? So I'll say create oh no, not a bot, sorry. We need to create a function.
Nice.
I'll say it's a custom function, right? And the custom function path is this, and then we can call it, I don't know, get GST, get supplier from GSTN, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh, gets the supplier ID for a given GST number, right? So this description is also important. This is also sent to the bot, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So you can now do custom functions as well, right? So there is
Yeah.
like get document, get list, create document, update document, delete document, right? There's custom function, there's attach file to document, and then there are these four as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you like bulk operations, right? So you don't want it to bombard. So yeah, custom function. Then you go to variables, right? We don't want to pass the parameters as JSON
Mm-hmm.
um, because uh, I mean, I don't think it was JSON, right? I think it was like named parameters in the code,
Yeah, there was just
right?
one
Like,
parameter. Yeah.
yeah,
Additional argument. Yeah.
sometimes these APIs have like JSON, like they will just have args, and now
Mm-hmm.
you need to send it as a JSON, but that's not the case over here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll use the builder. So there is a variable builder for custom functions. So remember, with
Mm-hmm.
the doc type, you could import fields, and then you already have the metadata, so you can
Mm-hmm.
build your own function and all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over here, you need to know what the function requires.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, this function is like stupid simple. It's just GSTN, right? So it just needs this GSTN. I can in fact take this, right? And I don't even need to pass in the party type because the default value is supplier.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back. Okay, I'm going to add a variable. It's a string. It's GSTN. It's required the GST number. That's it, right? If it was an array, you could specify what type of array it is. If it was like an object, you can do like nested objects as well. So all of that's there. But yeah, you add a variable and that's it, right? So you create this function. So you have the second function now. Go back to your bot. Let's add this function now. What was it? Get supplier from GSTN. Oh, get supplier from GSTN, right? Add.
Nice.
Okay, cool. So we can hit save. Finally, what we want is we want the file to be attached to the document, right? So there is another function that we created. We do that for expense claim. So you can see the reason why functions are declared separately from bots is because you can reuse
Reuse.
functions.
Makes sense.
Right. Yeah. So attach file to document, right? This function attaches a file to a document in the system. Call this function after you have created or updated the document, right? And the variables is not available because this is a standard function.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll add this to the same bot. We go to the bot and then we can add attach file to document, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, save. Okay, so our bot is ready, right? If I go to OpenAI Assistance now and I hit refresh, see, all these three functions are here,
Nice.
right? Okay, so let's try
Let's
it out.
test it.
I don't know if
Yeah.
it will work,
Mm-hmm.
but uh, oh, you got the, you got ads of Gemini. Nice.
Oh, oh,
Um,
oh no, I have turned on ads on this live stream. And they're playing
oh, okay.
in between the live stream? Okay. Next time I will have to take care. So basically I have turned on ads on normal videos because I want to see how much like ad revenue can come in a month. I did it last time when I started, so it was some 0 point something dollar, so I turned it off. This time again I want to check how much revenue is like, so I am running this experiment. But yeah, I think now it's turning on the monetization for everything, so I will have to next time for live stream I will turn it off.
Okay, so this does not work immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
The main reason being it's working in a background job.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a background job. We've given it the short queue, 10-minute timeout
Mm-hmm.
at front. So it will work like in 5, 6 seconds, but it won't be immediate, right? It
Mm-hmm.
needs to be in a background job because it takes time. So
Mm-hmm.
you just saw that. Okay, it worked,
Yeah.
right? Now, no, it's not good enough though, right?
What happened?
Look at this, right? The
Hmm.
amount is incorrect,
Oh,
right?
no, it's correct,
Right?
right?
It needed to be,
No, I got.
no, the amount, the total needs to have the tax. Now, I think that's
Oh.
an issue on our end,
Mm-hmm.
not on their end, right? Not on the bots, because I told the bot specifically,
Mm-hmm.
right, that hey, do not use the total tax amount, right? So I think it's a issue with our, working of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
So maybe the tax category need
okay,
to be set or something
no.
like
But
that.
see what it did.
Oh.
This is just incorrect. I don't know
Uh-huh.
why it took accepted quantity as 9 and then the rate as. Oh wait. Oh wow. It's not lazy like me. Huh. Okay. So okay.
So I think
So
you
we do
always
pay
do
for
like
9 seats.
one and then
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
is the
Yeah. Yeah.
quantity? Where is the quantity?
I don't know where it got it from, but it needs to be somewhere, right? Because, but do we pay for 9? I don't think we pay for 9. Is it 1232.07? I mean, it's
No.
rounded off, I would say. No, it's not, right? So wait. So you know what? Let's do this. Let's tell the bot that it was incorrect. Why did you set the quantity to 9? Right? And it's thinking, I mean, it's pretending to think, right? But yeah, I mean, we got it to work, so we had to, like, you wouldn't get it right in your first prompt. That's the
Mm-hmm.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
You will have to refine the prompt over time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's why I knew that, earlier it was taking like the 1400 amount.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it's doing something incorrect. The other problem is that our system is also not adding the tax, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, see, tax is not added. I mean, I don't know why. That's weird. Should have added the tax, right?
Maybe
Um,
Aditya can
yeah,
answer
I
this.
mean, it should
Mm-hmm.
have. Yeah, but it's thinking now. Let it think. I mean, it's done something wrong. It needs to think, long and hard about what it has done. Right?
Details extract, and if it does not match what's on your account, please let me know so I can correct it.
The amount is not 9. Or maybe it is, and maybe I'm missing it. Maybe the AI is smarter after all. I don't know where it is. Can you
Where?
see 9?
Show the whole PDF. Place 19. Where is 9?
No, there is no 9. I mean, it's just hallucinating. Right?
I
The
don't know.
amount is,
You
I don't
need
know.
to be very specific.
Yeah. 1232.07, right? So you can tell it that, and then I mean you'll have to refine it, right? And that's why I said, let it
Mm-hmm.
speak when it's not working correctly,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, oh, okay, yeah. So I need to delete. I mean, what we would actually do is that it would we would also give it a function called update, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's created a new invoice, but we would technically give it a function called update as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me delete this older one. But it was able to find the supplier at least. I mean, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, but I think the tax system, I think something is wrong in our item setup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, it's not added over here. So we just need to add 18%. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, once you do that, then it will work, right? Let's try it with some other invoice. Let's try Razorpay. So the invoice looks like, wait, let me show, like this, right? I mean, this is pretty standard, right? Like, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why the preview is so small. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, right?
Maybe zoom out.
So in fact,
Maybe. I don't know.
yeah, let me bring it over here.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is the invoice. I mean, seems pretty cool,
Mm-hmm.
right? Should happen. I mean, it's a very nice amount of $500, right?
That's cheap.
So
So
it should
like
work
per month you
technically.
only pay like 500 something for Razorpay Expert.
Yeah, like depending on the number of employees. So per
Okay.
employee, it's 100. They
Salary
do
doesn't
our
matter, right?
TDS filings and everything.
Mm-hmm.
No, 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 nothing matters. No.
Cool.
So let's try this one. Oh, wait, did it do the attachment as well in the earlier one? Okay, it did.
Yeah,
That's
attachment
good.
worked.
It
Mm-hmm.
did. Yeah. Let me actually delete this one. It's wrong. Yeah. Okay. Uh,
Error.
Oh, okay. I mean, we see that's the problem with doing it on production, right? We've already added all of these invoices into the system,
Okay.
right? So, I mean, the validations and all work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you have debug mode enabled,
Mm-hmm.
it will do all of this, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
what do I do? Do we have a invoice? Aditya, do we have an invoice which is not been added to production? Which one? Okay, send it. See, now we are taking his job, right? So.
No, it's shouting
Uh,
from the background. No.
Okay. Yeah. So the problem with the production system is that our books are updated. But I mean, technically, I can copy over the bots to uh, a new system as well, right? But let's try with like an invoice that has not been added. How about this one? Um, how about this one? This is like a flight. This looks like something that could be added. Are you sending it to me? Where? Okay, I just send it. uh, let's see if I have some other invoice available in the system.
I had to get coffee
Uh,
because
yeah,
I think we'll go for at least 30 minutes more, I'm guessing.
yeah, I would say. Uh,
Yeah, it's fine.
or what if what I can do is I can just copy over the function, like or copy over the functions and then
Mm-hmm.
so all of it is stored in Raven AI function, right? Over here. So let me just go to API keys and create one for the test site. Raven dev. I'll create an API key. I'll copy it. I'll go to Raven dev, right? So OpenAI settings, enable AI integration. You go to OpenAI key.
Mm-hmm.
Organization ID, we'll have to get it from here. Done. Go to settings.
Again,
Go
what are you trying to do?
to. Oh, I'm trying to make it on Raven dev instead of over here.
Okay.
Uh, I mean, because I don't have an invoice that that I can use, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Or okay, or maybe I do have an invoice. You know what? There is a way to actually get around this problem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the way is that what we do is that we make the supplier. So there is in for the purposes of this demo and only for this demo,
Do
you
not
can go
try
to
this at
buying
home.
settings. Yeah. Um, or maybe it's in GST settings.
Purchase, right? Oh, okay. Buying is purchase.
Yeah, there is something. Yeah, yeah, there is something called as like.
Hit Command J
mm,
and search maybe.
No, I don't remember what it is exactly. But there was a setting somewhere where you could like disable. Hey, if someone on the chat knows, that uh, if someone on the chat can tell us, where we can get that setting where, which decides, okay, can you have duplicate uh, supplier invoice number? Yeah, unique supplier. Is it over here or
Maybe
is
in
it
the
in
buying.
purchase settings? Buying settings, yeah. Nope.
Allow multiple times. There's that. Use this.
No.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Nope. Hmm. What do we do? What do we do? Do I have some invoices? Uh, Let me find another invoice. Okay, I think this is a good invoice to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is definitely added. It's 19 June.
Do you want me to send an invoice?
Yeah, do you have an invoice?
You will need a specific supplier, right? What do you want?
I mean, I can have it create a supplier.
Yes, see here it like on the chat account settings. Go to account settings.
Okay, account settings.
Yeah, now search for
Ah, yeah, perfect.
yeah.
Perfect. Got it. Got it. Check
Thanks,
supplier
Rishabh.
invoice number uniqueness. Thank you. Great. Okay, cool. Let's try it again. What were we sending it? We were sending it some Razor Pay invoice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's do that. Hopefully, India compliance does not have another additional check. Hopefully. Uh, but yeah, see, it searches file contents, then it creates the purchase invoice, and it's thinking, pretending to think. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So now see the
Prices.
item tax template has not been set correctly, right? I think what we do is that when we do it manually, right, we actually add the tax template ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it doesn't match,
Hmm.
uh, which we shouldn't do. That's not the correct way to do it, right? Because there is autofill that's already there in ERP Next.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's only set for a certain, items or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if I just add the tax category of, uh, I mean, it is in state, but yeah. So if I do that and if I hit save, then it will be, whatever. Right. I mean, the GST validations will kick in,
Mm-hmm.
right? But yeah, you do have the correct, it was able to map the correct item. That's the main thing. That's one,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I can bet if I go to this item and I go to tax, there is no tax template set, right? So that's where the tax did not come in.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this works. In my experience, it works very well if your system is already set up very correctly. Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work. So for example, for our WeWork invoices, right? It works correctly, but for WeWork invoices, I don't have any right now. Uh, but yeah, there's a WeWork or rent, office rent or something. There would be. Yeah. See, it's ineligible for input tax credit, right? Because the place of supply and all of that is different. So it
Mm-hmm.
works correctly over there. But
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't set it up correctly, then
Maybe it will push
then
you
you
to
could
set it up
technically,
correctly, right? Like this will push you to
yeah,
set the correct things.
yeah, it could. Or you could tell the bot to figure out what the tax rate is. Like if you if you're that lazy, you can just tell because it's another field that you need to add in the bot builder, right? Like uh but yeah,
Categories.
the good thing is that yeah,
Mm-hmm.
what we have now like started to do, right? We have started with expense claims, but we'll eventually just use this for our invoicing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh So you just dump it in and it will create the invoices, right? But the system needs to be set correctly. And there is a little bit of prompt engineering involved
Mm-hmm.
over here in these instructions and all, right? Like this prompt is sort of refined already because I have made this assistant before,
Hmm.
right? Uh, oh yeah, and I did that on the test side, not on the production side. And on the test side, we set up the tax rates correctly. That's why it worked there, right? But yeah, like you could technically tell it, okay, go to create purchase invoice, and then you can have, you can set, uh, the tax rate, right? I think it's over here. There's a tax category. Uh,
Yeah,
we'll
so
have
you
to
could
add.
tell it like, okay, I think there are
Yeah,
two
like you could.
majorly, right? In state or out of state, and then it can see what
Yeah, and the
state
rate.
GST number
It
is
needs to know the rate.
applying. Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to know the rate, whether it's 18% or not. The other
Hmm.
important thing is that it needs to know the place of supply,
Hmm.
which we haven't figured out like how it would know, but we'll just tell it that if it's office rent, because in our case, only for office rent does the place of supply change, but
Hmm.
usually in GST invoices, place of supply is mentioned anyway.
Hmm.
So
So
place of
some more
supply would also
instructions.
impact.
Hmm.
Yeah, like you would, again, you would have to refine the function, you would have to refine the instructions, right?
Hmm.
Eventually, we'll have a button over here that says generate instruction, and then, it will actually define the instruction for you, which will be again AI based. Uh, if you look at Expenso, the way it worked was the instruction was already refined a lot, right?
Hmm.
So look at the preview over here. You're an assistant called Expenso running in an ERP system. Job is to help employees submit and manage expense claims.
Hmm.
An expense claim can contain multiple expenses. Employees might go on trips and upload files as expenses incur. You need to create an expense claim for the first time the user uploads an expense. For
Hmm.
any following expenses, you need to add the new expenses another row in the main expense claim.
Hmm.
To create an expense claim, use the function provided to update an expense claim with an additional row. You would need to first fetch the expense claim with its ID,
Hmm.
which you obtained when you created it. Then you need to take the expenses array and append a new row to it. Pass this
So
entire new array
basically,
with both old as well as new.
we
Yeah,
are
it's like
instructing a
programming but
child, right?
meta.
Well, like we are instructing a
Yeah,
child, okay,
yeah,
do this, do that, like, or a junior
yeah,
programmer that, okay, do this, write code for this. So instead of writing
correct.
the code, you are directly,
Yeah.
okay, go ahead, figure it out.
Yeah, and the other thing is that like if you had to implement this in ERP Next, you would still need a programmer to do the OCR part, right?
Hmm.
But then even after the OCR part, right, what these large language models do is that they will take that text and they will extract it and then they will, push it to like then they will figure out okay what's the content of the text, right?
Hmm.
In the case of PDF files, it's not even doing OCR; it's doing something called as a file search.
Hmm.
So it's actually going through all the text content in the PDF.
Hmm.
So you would still need a programmer, but you look at the functions that it has. Oh, sorry. You look at the functions that it has, right? Get expense claim because it needs to get the existing expense claim,
Hmm.
create expense claim, update expense claim, and attach file to document,
Yeah,
right?
these are not even like you have not created a custom function. These are like just get, create, read,
Yeah, get update.
update,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then attach
yeah.
file. These are like,
Right. So this is not even a
hmm.
custom API. For the
Hmm.
supplier thing, I need a custom API. I would need one more custom API that can decode the supplier and get the address and all. And
Hmm.
then I'll need another API that creates the supplier. So
Hmm.
I would need that as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, uh, for the supplier, it's that. What we're working on next, right, is
Hmm.
okay. So yeah, I'll just quickly go through all of these, right? So
Hmm.
we already covered bots and functions.
Hmm.
There's commands. So what will inevitably happen is that you will be typing the same commands again and again to the bot,
Hmm.
right? And so you can create a command. I can do it on my local. On my local, I have some commands added. Can you create purchase invoices from these files? Can you check these invoices for me?
Hmm.
Right? This is nothing but like you can go to a bot, right? And these are like the bots that we created, and it's creating like these leads and stuff, right? So
Hmm.
yeah. Anyway, so you do Command Shift K, right? And then you can just quickly insert the command.
Oh,
So it's like a quick insert, right? So do
yeah.
Command Shift K, and then
These are like canned responses.
correct. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Um, and then there is so instructions. So inevitably what happens is that instructions are pretty much the same between different bots, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you'll talk quickly, right? Right, do not talk a lot, right? Like, things like that are very common that you'll give to all bots. So you
Mm-hmm.
can use these instructions. If you create one, let's say I go and I enable dynamic, I can import, like, I can add, and then
Mm-hmm.
I can also replace or add, right? So if I add, then it adds to, wherever the cursor was.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, you can have again canned instructions, right? And you can use them as templates.
Mm-hmm.
Because the user's name is full name, we why type it all the time? You can just import it from a template,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, what we're working on next is, let me show. Wait, where did I try it? I think I tried it in the playground over here. So in these bots, right,
Mm-hmm.
you can also do something like you can also upload files.
Mm-hmm.
So not HR bot. Yeah, I think it was HR bot, right? So in HR bot, what I've done is I've already added a file. Wait, I think this is the wrong bot. Uh, I don't remember where it was. No, this is not the bot. Let me go to the dashboard, go to assistance. Yeah. Okay, this one. No, I think that bot has deleted. Oh, I deleted the bot. Okay. No. So anyway, so what you can do, right, technically is you can add files,
Mm-hmm.
right? So and this file can stay as the data source for that bot forever.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to upload the file again and again, right? So
Mm-hmm.
imagine you were building, like, let's say, an HR bot
Mm-hmm.
that had access to the company's HR manual,
Mm-hmm.
also had functions to, to mark the attendance, or let's say to get the leave status, right, etc., right, something like that. um, and then employees could just ask that bot, right, hey, how many leaves do I have remaining?
Mm-hmm.
And the bot could, look up the manual. The
Mm-hmm.
manual says there are 21 leaves remaining, and the the actual system, has, like, okay, they have used 6 leaves, right? So what's the difference? 15 leaves. 15 leaves are remaining for
Mm-hmm.
you,
Makes sense.
right?
Other questions
Something
like
like that, right?
how much expense claim can I raise for this, or how does
Correct.
reimbursement work, right? Like common questions that you ask
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
HR when you first join. So you can add to the HR
correct.
bot. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So I've already started working on that on my local. Where am
Hmm.
I on my local? Oh, on my local, I think I am. Oh, okay. I was fixing some bug. Right. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So I've already added, like, the sources,
Mm-hmm.
but then think a step further, right? Beyond PDF files, you could also give it access to insights data wrapped in an Excel sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you make a query on insights,
Mm-hmm.
you and you take that data
Mm-hmm.
and you generate an Excel sheet and give the bot that.
Hmm.
And maybe you sync that file every day or every week or something,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Maybe
then
like
the
what I
bot
was
could
thinking is you can have
answer.
like an integration with Insights directly, which has access to your
Yeah,
queries, and then you can just say, okay, like whatever this
yeah,
is,
run this
talk to
query,
Insights,
right?
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of.
But,
Hmm.
like, let's say if it was like a very expensive query, right? Like,
Hmm.
let's say it was a very,
Hmm.
it's got thousands of rows, right?
Hmm.
Then maybe, it could do analytics, etc., on that Excel file.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, you can have any source. That's what I'm working on now.
Hmm.
Apart from the bug fixes and the refinements and stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
So before we, I
yeah,
think, end, let's do one thing. Let's fix. I think that bug we can fix, right? Because
which one?
uh, the bug we encountered, which one was that? Uh,
Forgot. Did someone create an issue of the bug that we found? I think it was something related to print, right?
yeah, print.
Printing.
Yeah, we can print that.
I mean,
And
that's a stupid
meanwhile,
bug.
Minte is asked a question. Can we have a high-level view of actual backend code? How you can set up, install
Yeah,
OpenAI library, and import
yeah.
it in Frappe? Cool.
let's do it. So let's first fix the bug because the bug's stupid. Uh, what's the bug? I mean, it needs to be in document link renderer or something. Link
Mm-hmm.
renderer, doc type link renderer, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is print submenu. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you can see it. I can zoom in
Yeah,
further.
now I can. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Is this VS
Print
Code?
submenu. No, this is cursor.
Okay.
So, window dot open. Amazing. So, does window dot open slash work? Will it take the root domain? I
Sure.
think it
Let's
does,
try it
right?
out. Yeah.
Hmm. Um,
We
Actually,
have
I know why I might have done that, but let's see. Because our React app, it runs on, let me close this.
okay.
Our React app runs on 8080 and then it runs on 8000, right? So that's the
Mm-hmm.
problem.
So maybe you
Uh,
can like usually what I do is I do it a few times and then I get fed up with changing it every time I develop. So I write a if condition where if it is in develop mode, do this
yeah.
and like that is the
Yeah. But
permanent
it
solution.
does work, right? So it took 8080, so it will
Mm-hmm.
work with like the root domain. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
fine. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So it does work. So that's one bug fixed.
Yep.
Uh,
Finally, we are
um,
writing code.
fix print print button URL, right? Okay. Cool. So that bug's fixed, right? The other is hmm. Okay, and a high level overview, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
how does it work? So
Mm-hmm.
let's actually go through the doc types first and then we'll,
Mm-hmm.
understand, right? So we have Ravenbot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ravenbot is nothing but like if we already had Ravenbot, we just added this window.location.origin. We probably don't need it. Oh, okay. I think there's a delay between our stream and
Yep.
the chat, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so we have AI, and then all of the settings that you saw in that bot form is just stored over here, right? These are the instructions, dynamic instructions, and these are the functions. Functions are in a child table,
Okay.
right? These functions are link fields.
Makes sense.
So these are like, yeah, these are like separate functions, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all of these functions, so depending on the type of function, right, we use different things, right? So if it's create document, then we have, a parameters table.
Mm-hmm.
And in this parameters table is the same pop-up that you see over there,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it was a child table, it would also have child table name, like,
Hmm.
items, let's say.
Hmm.
So for something like, let's say, item name, yeah, item name, right? So items,
Hmm.
right? So that's your child table. This gets parsed to this
Hmm.
params, which is in the standard JSON format that OpenAI accepts,
Okay.
right? And then this gets parsed, this plus the params plus the description and the type and
Hmm.
all of that. It gets passed to a function definition. This is what
Okay.
gets sent to OpenAI,
Okay.
right? So this
Makes
is
sense.
one of the tools that gets sent to OpenAI,
Hmm.
right? So the tools that we send to OpenAI, right, are all these functions. So if
Hmm.
I update the function from here, all the bots that are using this function also get updated in OpenAI, right?
Nice.
Because we have the reference for them.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's your OpenAI assistant ID and all of that. That's Raven bots. And then the other two doc types are pretty simple, right? There's like instruction template and command, right? So let's not worry about that.
Hmm.
From just a high level overview, right? What happens is that let's say when you DM someone, right? When you DM a bot, right? It creates, we know that it's an AI bot, right? Because you DM'd it and we know the bot ID. And then from the bot ID, we can figure out it's an AI bot.
Hmm.
If it's an AI bot, we trigger a background function. The background function then basically converts this message into a thread.
Hmm.
The reason why we need a thread is because it needs context.
Hmm.
It needs to know what it did before to know what it can do after,
Hmm.
right? And so it creates a thread for every message.
Hmm.
Then for every thread, right, it with the thread, then we send it to OpenAI. So if it's a file, we upload the file. If it's a PDF file, we upload it under file search. If it's a image file, we upload it under vision,
Hmm.
right? So files also become somewhat of a tool,
Mm-hmm.
right? Similar to code interpreter, file search, right? Files themselves become a tool, right? And then you have this, you have the message itself, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
message would be something like a user uploaded a file. But if you were to type it, then whatever you typed is the message, right?
Okay.
So the message is sent.
Mm-hmm.
Then OpenAI streams responses, right? So this is
Mm-hmm.
again running all in the background job, right? So
Mm-hmm. So maybe
OpenAI
we can see
streams
the code.
responses.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Yeah,
more interested in
let
it.
me yeah, yeah. Okay, let me see. So, okay, uh, when you send a DM to a bot, right,
Mm-hmm.
it calls handle bot DM. This is
Okay.
called in the background job, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you send a poll, don't do it, right? Sorry, I don't support polls yet, right? But if you send in a file or an image, right, for file, we need to ensure that the bot has file search.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, so you would create the file in OpenAI, and then you would get the content and the attachments area, and you create a thread,
Hmm.
right? You create a thread in OpenAI. This is in OpenAI, right? You
Mm-hmm.
send in the messages and the metadata, right?
Okay. Makes sense.
And if it's not a file, then you just create a thread directly. You don't need to upload anything, right? So you just create a thread directly,
Mm-hmm. They also call it
right?
threads.
And then yeah, they also call it threads, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you create a thread channel out of the message that was just created,
Hmm.
right? So
Oh, you
that
are using
message you
the
create.
Raven channel doc type for threads.
Yeah,
You didn't create
threads
a
are
new
also
doc
a
type.
channel. No, because then we can do a lot more with it, right? So yeah, uh,
Nice.
because membership and all is the same. So
Hmm.
notification and all is also the same. So yeah, it's the
Okay.
same doc type, just of type is thread, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then is thread is equal to one, you save the message. So the message is also updated to mark as is thread,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you do publish real time,
Hmm.
right? So you
Raven
just
AI is
say that the
thinking.
AI event has started, Raven AI is thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you stream the response. This is when you send a DM to the bot directly. If you reply to a thread which is of type AI thread, then
Mm-hmm.
this is what gets triggered. Handle
Mm-hmm.
AI thread message.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much the same thing. The only thing that happens is that we insert another message into the thread in OpenAI and send it. So if a run, right? So when you call this function stream response, right? It starts a run. I'll show that function, but it starts a run. During a run, you cannot send it another message. So when it says Raven AI is thinking, don't send it another message. It won't work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you go to stream response. What does stream response do? There is this huge class. Let's get to that. But essentially, what stream response will do is that it gets the OpenAI client, right? Gets the assistant ID of the bot,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then gets the instructions. In get instructions is nothing but it gets the variables for the instructions and then renders the template because it might be a Jinja thing, right? So, and if it's not a dynamic instruction, we just return none because the bot already has all the instructions,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when we created the bot itself, it created the instruction, right? So, uh, yeah. So you just do get instructions and then you pass in the random, like the unique instructions. See, this
Mm-hmm.
is where the user switching happens, right? So based on the user
Mm-hmm.
who call the function,
Hmm.
right, the instruction is sent, right?
Right.
So the Jinja is parsed again. So if you look at get variables for instruction, it's getting it for that user,
Hmm.
right? So that's important, right? So um, yeah. So okay, so you do that, right? And then you just start what is called a stream, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you start a run and you stream its responses
Mm-hmm.
and you say stream until done. The
Hmm.
main thing over here is the event handler, right?
Hmm.
Event handler over here. Now this is a class.
Hmm.
This extends assistant event handler from OpenAI.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is, there are multiple events that can happen during a run.
Hmm.
One of them is run step is done, right? So run step is done is, I mean, basically, in a run you have multiple steps and it's done with one step,
Okay.
right? So we look at, okay, if the run step is of type, code interpreter,
Hmm.
then we just publish event, running code, you
Hmm.
know, that spinner that you see, right? Searching file contents, running code, Raven AI is
Hmm.
thinking, and all of that, right?
Hmm.
So this is just for like UI posterity's sake, right? So
Hmm.
then we have, on text done.
Hmm.
Let's actually take this later because this is the
Hmm.
final event that's triggered.
Hmm.
We have on event, right? Now, if the event is requires action, that means that we need to do something,
Hmm.
right? And so we have this function called handle requires action.
Hmm.
In handle requires action, right? It tells us, so there is function chaining, but there is also function calling in parallel. So
Hmm.
it can actually call five functions in parallel. It might want to request that,
Hmm.
right? So you take all of these tool calls, right? And for each tool call is like, function call, right?
Hmm.
So you get the function, right? So from the function name, you get the Raven AI function document,
Hmm.
right? And then you have a try catch block, right? Because we don't want the background job to fail over here,
Hmm.
right? So you take the function arguments, you get the function arguments, and then you initialize function output. If the function is of type custom function, then we call the custom function. If the bot is allowed to write documents, right? Like,
Hmm.
then we just call the function. If it's passed parameters as JSON, we just pass it args. If it's not,
Hmm.
then we destructure it and send it. But
Hmm.
if the bot is not allowed to write functions, write documents, and we have a custom function, then we need to roll back,
Hmm.
right, after the function is done.
Hmm.
So that's what this does,
Okay.
right? With the run ID and the tool ID,
Hmm.
it basically rolls back after. So
Yeah,
the
so this
function
is
is
a
called, we
good
get the
use
output.
case of this save point API. I think there are very
Yeah,
few use cases for these APIs, like
yeah.
when you are building apps with Frappe.
But you see them a lot.
Yeah, like
Uh,
because people feel that okay, they need to use it for their data to be safe.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
But that's not really required, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is only for custom function. For get
Hmm.
document and all, it's already ensured that the
Hmm.
bot will definitely have permission, right? Permissions and all, right?
Hmm.
So again, if it's get document, you
Hmm.
publish event and you
Hmm.
take the argument. So see what OpenAI or the chat assistant is doing is that it's giving you these arguments in string format and you parse it into JSON, right?
Hmm.
And then and those arguments have like document ID and stuff like that, right? So yeah, like the function that you built, right, in UI, and then the JSON that was created,
Hmm.
right? That JSON, it knows what all fields to pass.
Okay.
So that's what's happening over here. Here, it's just calling these functions, right? The read document and all of that.
Hmm.
Multiple documents, update document, update multiple document, attach file to document, and all of that, right? And then that's pretty much it, right?
Hmm.
So this is how the custom functions are being called. And then
Hmm.
finally, there is on text done,
Hmm.
which is like after OpenAI is like done with its stuff, right?
Hmm.
We just do bot.setMessage, right? And because it returns in Markdown, we convert it to it's inside the bot, right?
Hmm.
Like you can convert it from Markdown to HTML, and then you do AI event clear so that the Raven AI's thinking goes away. So yeah, that's pretty much it, right? And then obviously there's a lot of logic in Raven AI function.py because
Hmm.
it's again it's doing things like validating the doc type,
Hmm.
preparing the function params.
Hmm.
So like for get document, all of this is like pretty standard. But then
Hmm.
if it's like if you're doing like build params JSON from table, so it will like it's just taking that table and then parsing it into like the object.
Hmm.
uh
Makes sense because tables are usually
that's
like stored in different uh, rows. So you'll have to fetch them from the
yeah.
DB and then you combine them
No,
into
I mean
one.
it's a child
Hmm.
table.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a child table. But yeah, you still need to loop over and then build the JSON
Yep.
object over here. And where was that? Let's take this. Wait, which is inverse. So you would take this table,
Hmm.
ignore all of the fields that are do not ask AI,
Hmm.
right? And then you would construct this. So
Hmm.
that construction is also a little complicated, right? Also, the UI for this is a little complicated, right? Because if I'm creating a function, let's say with nested objects and all,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, I pick custom function and then in variables, I can do like object and then, let's say items, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, items, right? And then add it. And then, you have this again nested object, right? So you can
Oh.
like, what is the object definition and all of that. So a lot of work over here. And then there's
Mm-hmm.
this JSON, and you can do like, you can switch between builder and JSON.
Nice.
Um, yeah, mostly I've worked on like a lot of the user experience, right? Like if
Mm-hmm.
you go here, like the user experience of, let's say if you, let's create a function. Let's do update purchase invoice, right? So just the user experience of, auto filling all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of doing this, if let's say if you wanted to do this, right, it will automatically, populate most things. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can, quickly import all of this.
Mm-hmm.
If you had something like tax category or tax withholding category, right? So, I mean, what do we have, like, which is like very little? um like tax category maybe. See, there are only five options in tax category. Do you want to autofill
Oh,
this
nice. So
these
you
as
have like
options,
thought
right?
about. So how do you go about doing this, right? Like, how do you think that
Yeah,
okay,
like,
this might be a good thing for the user experience?
I mean, it's a lot of product thinking, right? It's less to do with the code. The code is pretty simple.
Yeah, yeah,
um
that's what I'm
but
asking.
like,
Like, how do you bring this
yeah,
kind of product thinking? Do you like develop it while
no,
building
i
products,
i
or you have
write
to think from a different perspective, keeping the code part aside? How does that work?
keeping the code part aside, what I do is that, so
Hmm.
out of 90% of the time I'm just thinking.
Hmm.
Like 10% of the time is actually typing the code in,
Okay.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
like I thought about this feature for 2.5 months while I was working on some other features that I thought about 2 months before that, right? So uh, I thought about this feature a lot. I was
Hmm.
experimenting, right? So I mean, I think two things that help it a lot, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
one is that your tooling needs to be really good. Like
Okay.
your tooling, like I think what happens is that a lot of developers, right, they don't have right tooling. So for
Mm-hmm.
a good example is, a lot of people, what they do is that in when they're developing like for Frappe and they're doing like JavaScript work,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, like in the desk interface, right? They write code, they go back to the browser and they hit refresh
Okay, that's the current
every
state of.
single time. Yeah, right. No, but the thing is, there is a mode, there is a bench watch or something like
Yeah,
that,
there's
right?
a that
Like
like
there is.
you can watch
Yeah,
and then
so
it
it
refreshes the
automatically
page.
refreshes.
Hmm.
Yeah, right. So people, I think, if you want to like quickly experiment, the first thing is like tooling. Your tooling needs to be like really, really top line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that will actually get you velocity. It takes time to build tooling, but if you have great tooling, it
Hmm.
will, your velocity is then very fast. You can iterate very quickly. That's
Mm-hmm.
one. And the other is, think before you code, right?
Hmm.
Like writing the code is like, honestly, with Cursor and all of these AI tools, they write most of the code these days, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I I just think and I tell it, like, I don't use the chat interface. I
Hmm.
just go about writing my code and I write comments and it
Mm-hmm.
will write the logic for me. And the
Mm-hmm.
logic is usually correct.
Okay, we lost Nikhil and we lost his screen. So let him come back.
Don't
His screen
understand.
is back.
And
He's
you
back.
cannot have the AI write
Your
code that you
audio is
can't
not
understand.
back,
So
Nikhil.
um, how do you
Uh,
go about thinking? I think about how I would use the product
no, he's
myself,
still talking.
what
Okay,
I would
go
like
ahead.
myself. So okay, I'll tell you. I mean, this is not related to bots.
So you were
But
gone for like 2 minutes
oh, okay, I was gone for 2 minutes.
and you were talking.
Okay. Oh, okay, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you and see you as well.
And you can see me on the,
Yeah, yeah, in
like,
the stream
on
as
the
well. Yep,
stream, my
yep,
my screen, and yeah.
yep.
Okay. So as I was saying, a lot of times people don't invest in tooling. That's one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Invest in good tooling so that your velocity increases, your
Mm-hmm.
because you can then iterate very, very quickly, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
one. The other is think a lot before you write code, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that people think, it through. They just go like one step, one step, one step, and then you'll see that the code itself, like in its entirety, is not clean,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they have thought about it in pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make this reusable or that reusable and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the third is like, just build it from a perspective that how would you use it, right? So, okay, I'll give you an example on the finance channel, right? So you can also, wait, do I, okay. So let's say, I have this invoice, right? PDF, right? And there's
Mm-hmm.
this attached file to document. We use this a lot, right? So
Mm-hmm.
first of all, this feature, what used to happen was that we used to send people used to send invoices on this channel,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then we were supposed to go to ERP Next, create the invoice,
Mm-hmm.
right? Download this file,
Mm-hmm.
then upload it in ERP Next,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that was, cluttering up the computer as well. And why do that? Why do all of that? So what you can do is you can do attach file to document,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then, so let's say if I do, okay, this is production, right? Wait, uh, let's see. Do I have files over here? Okay, I'll just upload a random file, right? Okay, so I'll just attach it to any document, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me say I'll just attach it to some random document, right? And let's say I do this,
Mm-hmm.
uh, right? So this is a good feature, right? But then I was like, okay, every time I come over here, right, access log is shown.
Mm-hmm.
I was frustrating, like no one wants to attach anything to the access log,
Okay.
right? I mean, just because I have the administrator access, I can see access log, but I don't want it on my doc type list.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was now I store like the recently used ones, the top five recently used ones, and then
Mm-hmm.
I bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's say if you go to like, on production and all, if you try to attach, I think, wait, let me see if I have that. Um, yeah. I don't know where it's there. Okay, I think I haven't done that in a while, but yeah, like you can, if you do, purchase invoice more often than not, then that comes up on top, right? So
Mm-hmm.
again, you think about like how would you use it and what would improve your own,
Yeah.
like,
That was the kind of
yeah,
tip I was looking for because I have seen that work at Frappe as well. So dog fooding, right? And Michelle wrote a
yeah,
blog post how we the products it go through fast iteration, better features is
yeah,
getting them to the actual users. So once CRM hit the actual sales
yeah,
team, then Sharik realized, okay, this I was thinking some other roadmap, and
yeah,
clearly the user need is something else, right? So
correct,
every
yeah,
time I suggest, okay, first get it to the internal team and then maybe think about, okay, I want this big feature or that big feature. But yeah, that's how
yeah,
you
yeah,
realize. So best is your own experience, right? You have gone
yeah,
through it and you have found, okay, this can be simplified or this is a common thing like the five you mentioned, right? If it has less than five items, it automatically shows
yeah,
red button. So that sort of stuff.
yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I'll try it again. I don't know if it'll work.
Hmm.
I have another invoice, but it's got something to do with the settings, or else we'll have to tell the bot, hey,
Hmm.
bad luck, you'll have to fill in the tax as well. So
Cool. Hopefully, audience is like now silent, but hopefully they got something out of this stream.
yeah,
Was
no,
this
I think it's
useful?
something to do with,
Was this not?
yeah,
Drop in a comment even if you're watching later. Um, so yeah, that is okay. It's still 500, but fine.
yeah. I think I'll have to look at it. I don't know what's happening.
Hmm. Yeah, the tax category is not getting selected. Probably that is the
Yeah,
issue.
I think that's the problem, and I think you can set the tax category somewhere. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, we'll have the AI fill it.
So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
this reminds me
But
of
yeah,
a line you said when we met for the Frappivers. You said like AI is a glorified autofiller, right? Like
autofiller.
autofiller.
Yeah. I
Thought
mean,
of
as
that.
of right now, yes. I
Mm-hmm.
think, see, the
Mm-hmm.
problem with AI in general, right, is um, first of all, its context window is too limited. So
Mm-hmm.
it can't, encompass all the information.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, so Mint, I'm going to answer that, right? So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like it can't encompass all the information that you have, right? So you need to build very, very specific bots. That's a
Mm-hmm.
limitation.
Mm-hmm.
The other is that the speed is not there yet. It's not as fast as you want it to be,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the third is it's not cheap enough. I mean, I think it's cheap enough for it to run, let's say in first world countries like the United States or somewhere, because the cost of labor over there is pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not cheap enough to run in India, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, like because the I mean the economics just don't make sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
I I, however, do think that all of these problems are solvable. Like literally all three of these problems. It's not like all three problems are not solvable. I think all of them are solvable. So that gives me hope. Now, whether that's solved in a year, whether that's solved in 5 years, that remains to be seen. Um, the other thing is that yes, right now it's a glorified autofiller,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and apparently what I've seen is that a lot of jobs are just this,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like just think about this, right? Like let's say there are engineers, L1 engineers whose job is to take support tickets, right? Like it might be an email or whatever, right? And summarize it and triage it, right? And send it to the correct team, assign it the correct priority, right? Anywhere where language has a lot of role to play, right? Emails, conversations,
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes sense to add AI over there. But what we are excited about is that if these problems get solved, right, and we keep on building this, so it's not necessary to trigger the bot from Raven. I mean, that's kind of the point that I want to make, right? Like the architecture is this. It's not the interface, the chat interface, right?
Mm-hmm.
That input could have been an email, uh, right? That email or that input could have been a call.
Mm-hmm.
I do not see like any reason why we cannot call the bot,
Mm-hmm.
because in OpenAI assistants there is something called as, wait, where is playground, there's real time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, like you give it the same instructions and then you give it functions again, right? The same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you could call the bot and you could then say, hey, do this, do that, do this, do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, and you're also working on the side, but it's not fast enough right now and it
Mm-hmm.
speaks a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I think the three problems are solvable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah, someone got an voodoo ad. So I had to
yeah, I
turn it
mean,
off immediately.
everyone
I
gets
didn't know like we
everyone
can
gets
turn it
voodoo
off.
ads.
Yeah, yeah, now like not here.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool.
So yeah, I mean, if there are any questions, I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I've been sleeping by now.
No, no, we
Right.
started like with
Uh,
40 people. There are still 26 remaining till the end, live viewers.
oh, wow,
So
okay.
I think it
Yeah,
was a
okay.
good session. But yeah, we had planned to build a feature as well, but we ran out of time. But we did fix a bug,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I mean,
technically we
building
did
these
good.
bots sometimes takes time.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we are like now whoever comes to you that how to build a bot, you can share this live stream, right? Okay, go watch this.
Yeah, yeah.
That's also one of my goals is like, okay, have some reference that because you wouldn't go and create a tutorial and it will take you so much time. I'm telling you, I wouldn't do
Yeah,
that. Like because
that is true. Yeah, that is
manually
true.
recording, editing it out, like you will always find, okay, I could have said this better. I could have recorded this better. That happens, right? So yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I think this sort of live streams work well in those scenarios. So there is a question.
Do you have any plans to support Matrix as a communication protocol? Not immediately, not an immediate requirement.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, the immediate goals are mobile app because see, Raven, like to increase the adoption, right? You just need mobile, right? So that's one, and the notifications.
Mm-hmm.
So both of those are like priority right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Once we have those two, then yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think after that we'll have to fix performance even more, right? Winter is coming, so uh, I mean, it's a Game of Thrones reference, right? But every winter we fix performance issues. So yeah,
Nice.
uh, yeah, but I mean, I think we could, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know enough about the matrix communication protocol. I know that a lot of apps use it, and a lot of apps are really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like matrix apps are usually really bad. Uh, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe we can be a good matrix client then, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
makes sense. So Prince Raj says started using Frappe, looks promising, good work. Yep, dig more
yeah,
into Frappeverse.
yeah. I
I
mean,
have
all
a
of this was possible because of the framework,
yep. See, I have this
right?
sticker from the Frappeverse. Yeah, but it looks nice. So Samuel says, yes, notifications are really important. Would be great to use Raven as a gateway for other apps. Yeah, I think that vision I could see it in these new features that we have, right? Like gateway to other apps, like the HR or the creating a
Yeah,
purchase invoice, creating like viewing documents right from here, right? So because I'm
yeah.
saying is like my friend came, he has worked on an ERP Next implementation at my cousin brother's business, and he was like they
Did I
share
lose
links on.
Hussein or did you lose me?
We lost you, so you'll come back. But till then, I was sharing that. Okay, let me just try to bring back Nikhil. He's gone. Come on. So yeah, as I was saying, he told me that they are sharing links over WhatsApp and then they open the link and just to approve leave applications or so this will make it really easy if you migrate all your WhatsApp chats. And he immediately found out about as soon as he found out about Raven, he went and basically what he set up Raven on his test machine and showed it to the stakeholders and like got a buy-in, right? So I think that's powerful. Nikhil, I can't hear you.
Yeah,
Now I
yeah.
can.
Can you hear
You
me
you were
now?
just not talking. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
I
told
think
you
the
that
connection
before we
dropped again.
started the stream, so I continued talking about
Yeah.
Raven at BDF. Yeah. Cool.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, my perspective on the Frappe ecosystem is that all those apps together, they are really powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine, I mean, everything's a SaaS now, and everything, everyone like charges, $10 per user per
Per
month.
month.
I mean, come on, right? Like, I mean, and it adds up, right? Like, if you
Mm-hmm.
have Notion, and then you have, let's say, Linear, and then you have Google Workspace, you have Slack, you add all of that. I mean, open
Mm-hmm.
source or proprietary doesn't really matter at that point, right? It's just the cost is so high, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think Frappe's ecosystem or the model, you just pay for the compute.
Mm-hmm.
uh, if I have 10 users, I'm using this much compute, right? That's really appealing.
Mm-hmm.
uh, so yeah.
There is another question if you can take Nikhil.
uh, this was a much more powerful demo than
Hey,
Salesforce. Oh,
Rishabh
the
is here.
people who own Slack, right? Yeah, who the people who have Slack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. uh,
They bought Slack, right? Like
yeah,
that was the
people.
biggest
I don't, yeah,
deal.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that Raven is up to the, like, in just
Mm-hmm.
in pure chat experience. I don't think it's
Mm-hmm.
right there, right? Because Slack is just so mature. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, give me 5 years and I'll build something better than Slack, right? But
Ha,
I
that's the
haven't
spirit.
had 5 years, right? Right. So, but yeah, like, uh, hopefully, the integrations and all, are good enough for people to switch over.
Mm-hmm.
Raven is working for portal without login like Frappe chat. Uh, without login. No, you log into the same Frappe
No,
ecosystem,
no. So I guess the
right?
question here is to use it like Frappe chat for customer support, like chatbot. Like you go to a website, it shows you like okay,
Okay.
chat with.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
okay, so I'll address that question, right? So out of all of the things that I know that we won't do is
Mhm.
probably that, right? Is have like website chat. Because if I were to build, let's say, customer support slash CRM,
Mhm.
conversation software, right? I would build it way more differently. It would be completely different, right? So it won't fit into this at all. Like none of it will actually fit over here, right?
Mhm.
But you could, if you have like certain customers and all of that, then you can have them use Raven, right? But
Mhm.
if you're like trying for website chat and all of that, yeah, chat widgets on website are almost dead. Yeah, that's true, right?
Yeah, they
uh,
were on hype. Like
I mean,
everywhere you see now is like there is a WhatsApp icon down below and chat
yeah,
thing.
yeah, I mean, it's
Like
usually
annoying.
WhatsApp or
Hmm.
Instagram, right? If you're like a D2C brand, you're
Hmm.
using Instagram a lot,
Hmm.
right? So I mean, I use Instagram to connect to brands if I need like support, like
Hmm.
etc., right? So I use Instagram or WhatsApp. So
Hmm.
who uses like website chat? But even then, right, if I were to build like WhatsApp or Instagram and all that, this won't be the UI that you see. It'll be something else. uh
Hmm.
like, yeah, it'll be something else. I'm working on something else, by the way, right? I can
Yeah,
give
yeah.
us like a sneak peek
Yeah,
if
yeah. Go
people
ahead, go
want,
ahead.
but yeah.
Good time.
uh so Maesters, right? Okay, who did accounting in Game of Thrones, right? And so, yeah, every house in Game of Thrones has a maester, right? So that's the name of the app
Mm-hmm.
that I'm thinking about. Again, I think for 2 months and then I build it, right? So, uh, yeah, so the name of the app is Maester. You can also call it Master. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care. But essentially, I was looking at like, um, the things that are broken or not working as fine in bank recon, right? So again, there's a huge why related to this,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have to do a lot of accounting, right? As a business owner and as with a very very tiny team, right? We don't really have dedicated accountants and stuff, right? So we do it ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? I somewhat enjoy it. I have been hearing about accounting and related stuff, right, since I was growing up, right? My parents were accountants, right? So uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I look at so I'm like tackling problems in ERP next that deserve the crafted UI treatment, right,
Mm-hmm.
in accounting. And I feel like I probably might be the best person to do it because I like UI and all of that. But
Awesome.
more importantly, I relate to the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
We
yeah, I
talked
mean,
about
these are
the
like some
product thing,
of
right? Like
the,
I think you are the best person
yeah,
since you are facing it. Scratch your own itch, right?
yeah. Yeah, so they're like these are like the issues in the bank reconciliation process in ERP Next, and then
Mm-hmm.
I have certain rules. So I'm looking at like QuickBooks, I'm looking at Tally. What do those guys do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm again thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Keep thinking.
and yeah, yeah. So
So Rishabhas, is it
is it
going to be
going to
LLM?
be LLM first? The surprising thing is that LLMs are not really required a lot in accounting. It's like stupid. Like LLMs are so stupid at math, right? Like, uh, I couldn't find a way where like a simple rule, like, so LLMs, where would they help, right? Um, so you have bank transactions, and those PDF statements have like a UTR embedded between a bunch of
Yeah.
jargon text, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right. Like, so you have that UTR, but when you make payment entries in the system, you use that UTR to record it. So if you do bank rec, automatic reconciliation, it usually doesn't work,
Hmm.
right? A large language model is helpful for that thing. Extract the UTR from this
Specific part.
description.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's useful for that. But in most cases, if I have a rule that says, okay, if you see something like slash slash, that's the UTR. I mean, I can program it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what you could do with LLMs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think like eventually, if it gets smarter, right? See, the three things that I said, right? Needs to be smarter. Yeah, right, exactly, right. But it needs to be that smart. It's not right. But if you just extrapolate, 2 years, 5 years down the line, I mean, the billions of dollars. Yeah, yeah, exactly, right. Like, yeah, did you make any expenses today? Something like that. It
Hmm.
it needs to it needs to do it could do it, right? I think in 2 years time, 3 years time, it will have enough of a context window, it will be cheaper,
Hmm.
uh, and it will be faster. You need these three things for it to actually work. I do not like I think by 2030, at least it's my prediction. uh you could have, like, how in Iron Man, I mean, Yash was talking about it the other day, right? And how in Iron Man, you know uh, Tony Stark is always like, hey Jarvis, get me
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
right? And then Jarvis tells it, right? Oh, hey, this is something's wrong over here, right?
Hmm.
I don't think I don't think that that's too far.
Hmm.
I think it's possible eventually, like with real time. I don't know about the cost and all, but I think it's possible. I think you would have, maesters, like AI maesters, right? uh,
That would
yeah,
be cool.
it is possible, probably. Yeah,
Yep. So yeah, Rishabh says in an app, the app is just passive.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
it just needs to be cheaper, faster, smarter,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. No, makes sense. Like it will. So you took an example of Jarvis, right? Like when you fall off the suit and you are about to die, then Jarvis automatically says, "Okay, are you? Do you need this, or do you need that, or do you need to call that?" Right? So that's
Yeah,
activeness from the agent side. Instead of you
correct.
giving a lot of instructions, giving a lot of training, maybe the AI
Yeah,
ecosystem
like,
is mature to that. uh, Maybe not,
yeah.
like it
I
will
mean,
mature, I guess,
in
because a lot of funding and a lot of, I don't know, research is going on into that
yeah, a
AGI.
lot
But
of.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, so like, for example, our item tax templates were not set correctly, right?
Hmm.
So, like, it could detect that, right? When I'm
Hmm.
filling the form, right?
Hmm.
Instead of, just selecting like from something, right? I mean, the autofill and all is nice,
Hmm.
but what if it doesn't find a tax template, or if it sees like, okay, this is happening too often, right? Why don't you just create it? you know
Hmm.
and keep the system in check, right? Like,
Hmm.
I mean, we monitor a lot of the system health when it comes to like the tech stuff, right? But we don't really monitor like ERP next system health, right? Uh like, are the masters set up correctly,
Hmm.
things like that. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
the thing is that if you set it up correctly, you probably don't need any customization, and you probably don't need a lot of the inputting,
Hmm.
right? I think 99% of the time, I mean, I was surprised that ours is not set up correctly. uh, so yeah,
So yeah, I think like what you said about in last 1 minute, Rushabh summed it up. Like Maester should help you form good habits, right? Like point you or
yeah. I mean, I don't
drive
know.
you to
I mean,
drive you to the
why
right.
doesn't it do it? Yeah, but why make me do it, right? Just do it yourself, right? You're capable.
You're talking even the next level, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, cool. Uh, so yeah, I think we're already 9:11. So 2 hours and 38 minutes. Cool.
yeah,
Good for getting again in the cycle, right? uh,
yeah. Scan your email and just do your accounting. I mean, that's out of the goal. Like, I know QuickBooks does it, by the way.
hmm.
It's funny that QuickBooks actually does it. I saw that in QuickBooks, and I want to add it, right? Like, so it automatically scans invoices from your email. It knows what is an invoice, and then uh, yeah. But then, with LLMs, it can be like even more faster, because it would know context between multiple emails. What if you got a purchase order first from someone in the same company, and then you got an invoice from someone else in the same company? Which is exactly what happened to me, by the way, with Frappe, right? Like with the Frappeverse sponsorship. That's exactly how it works. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good example where
Mm-hmm.
AI would be able to do it, but like
Mm-hmm.
an automated code won't be able to do it.
Mm-hmm. I think
So
this
yeah,
app I had in my phone, I used it for 1 month. I guess Fold. Have you heard about it? This
yeah, fold money.
money fold
Yeah,
money. Yeah, they had this feature where you
yeah,
link your email account, and then whenever a credit card statement came, it automatically synced
yeah.
and then did
Did
stuff.
you start getting a lot of loan calls after that?
I don't know when it
I
started, but
mean,
they are there.
yeah, that's usually what happens, right? So,
Fine. That's whole other debate of spam calls.
yeah, I mean that's where open source wins, right? Like that's where I'm not sending the
Yeah.
data to some loan shark, right? So, yeah,
Cool. Tosif says new setup looks cool. Thanks.
yeah, it does look
Like
cool.
yeah, like 3 days. I'm took a lot of effort, I guess. But yeah, I'm still not happy with some of the things. I'll fix it. But yeah, slowly getting there. Uh, so Tosif says even Ramp has this feature. What is Ramp?
I don't know what's wrong. Spend management. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
there are a lot of companies in the US that do this.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, not a lot of them are doing like open source. I didn't see any of them, but
Hmm.
there are a lot of companies that are doing this. They're like reading messages and they're reading emails and extracting information and doing all of that. I
Hmm.
think that's still like I don't know about the privacy and all, but at least you know emails and all makes like sense. With open source, the privacy problem is at least solved, right? Because it's on your infra and
Hmm.
you know the code. Like at
Hmm.
least other people know the code. Even if you don't understand the code, other people have vetted it.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Cool. So yeah, I think we should conclude here. Anything else
yeah.
you'll want to add, Nikhil?
Um, yeah. I mean, if you have any feature requests, right, like the AI and all of that, I don't think that it's right now at that level. But I think once we have audio calling, right, or
Mm-hmm.
video calling, you will be able to call an AI bot.
Nice.
So, I mean, that's what I'm thinking about right now. So maybe 6 months down the line, I'll have something to show.
Yeah, I'll
But
call in. Like I did an
yeah.
expense and here's the
Oh no, you would call it and you are
Mhm.
doing your own accounting and the bot is doing their own accounting, right? Like so
Mhm.
you're telling the bot, hey, do we have any unpaid invoices from this supplier? So instead of
Oh.
me going to the supplier list because I'm busy doing something else, right? I don't
Hmm.
want to switch between tabs and all of that. So
Hmm.
it's like I'm on a call. I mean, this is exactly what I do with Aditya, by the way, right? So the like two humans, right? So he would check, and I'm doing something else, and I'm probably entering some other data. So yeah, yeah. Uh, I mean, the first version of Maester will have probably no AI. It will just be Python scripts, and I think with even with Python scripts, it'll probably be one of the best bank reconciliation tools like out there. I'm starting
Nice.
with bank rec, but I'll you know yeah, I'll add more to it. Video and audio calls would be great. Yeah, great for users, bad on our pockets. So costs a lot of money, right? So what we
Hmm.
are doing is we'll be adding integrations with Jitsi and what is that Live Kit. Both of them are open source,
Hmm.
so we'll be adding integrations with both of them. Yeah,
Cool. So yeah, it's always great to talk to you, Nikhil. Thanks for sharing
yeah,
Raven and everything. Like you are doing quality stuff in the Frappiverse, right? Like we need more commit companies around the Frappiverse, I guess. Build more products. The
yeah,
each product like has, as I mentioned in Frappe build, right, a ripple effect. Yeah,
yep,
and have fun. Yeah, everyone. If you want to connect with Nikhil, I've dropped his Twitter down below. I have linked the Raven website. I've also linked my Twitter, so follow there. And then we'll catch you later. Goodbye, everyone. Have a nice day or good night.